This is The Rich Eisen Show.
It's on my phone, on my iPad.
Oh my gosh.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com.
He is the leader in the clubhouse.
Rich Eisen.
In every facet.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Huge fan, love your show, listen to it every day.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app. Today's guests from NBC Sports, Peter King, 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback Carson Palmer, plus star of the CBS drama Blue Bloods, actor Tom Selleck. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Okay, everybody, welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show.
Yeah.
You have no idea what today means for all of us.
We're back.
And we're all very excited. Listen to that new music that you're playing, Mike Del Tufo.
I understand.
Right? Okay. Good to see you, Mike Del Tufo. Good to see you, Chris Brockman. How are you today?
What's happening, buddy?
Hello, YouTube fans. YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We're going to begin our day together every single day. Just us. Starting tomorrow, Sirius XM will be involved. We're going to be there tomorrow.
454s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Shout
the
out.
454s. All the 454s in our wormhole right here on the Rich Eisen Show. That's our lineup. 844-204-RICH. You can still call us. It's just that the first hour every day of our show is just the two of us. I wish you could play that song.
I can't.
If I sing it, is that a violation?
I don't know.
100%. Yes.
No.
It
You
is
cannot
it?
sing it. You
Man,
cannot sing.
The YouTube algorithm, by the way.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Hey, you folks, you're buttoned up. But it's a big day for us here at the Rich Eisen Show.
Excited.
Yes. And here's how we're rolling every single day for at least the next 2 months. It's us at noon Eastern on YouTube, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, Sirius XM Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio, where we've been heard for a while. We went off the air on Wednesday. There's so much contractual stuff I don't want to bore you with. We're getting through it. And starting tomorrow, you'll hear us. Podcast One, the same way that you've been getting our podcasts. Check it out. Every single day, all 3 hours, this hour, and then the next 2 hours. Our RSS feed still intact. Proud to say. Okay? We got that going for us, which is nice. And then, starting in our second hour, make room for the Peacock, folks. Okay? Make room for NBC and NBC Sports.
Hey.
You know what? I'm going to really lay into that one.
Okay, good. Just, warm up the cockles back here and just kind of,
Hold on, let me get a little sip of.
get yourself ready. Because in 57 minutes, Rich.
By the way, great album. Great album, Warm Up the Cockles. Great album. I don't know who did it or what.
Was that the B-52s?
No, Warm Up the Cockles. I think that was the...
No, that was the Sex Pistols.
Yes. Never mind the bollocks. Warm Up the Cockles.
Hey, now.
Yeah, BCSN.
Take that for data.
Every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern, they're taking the last 2 hours. Put the lineup up there, Don Bowie, coordinating producer. Look at you being able to put that lineup and everything. Peter King's first up. I feel like we have a Monday chat with Peter King every single week.
By the way, I'm totally okay with that, too.
Dude, his
there's
Football
so much
Morning in
happening.
America stuff today, all right, filled with draft nuggets. Thomas Dimitrov, who we're circling around getting him on tomorrow's show.
The yearly ritual for us.
Well, I know. He spoke to Thomas about his whole setup, the setup that he's got digitally and computers and the IT and all that sort of stuff. They're calling it a virtual draft because people, I guess, are logging in and surfing in. But I'll tell you what,
Right.
to the 32 teams and all the coaches and all the general managers, and I'll repeat this later on, top of hour number 2, there's nothing virtual about this.
Oh, it's very real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very real.
It's on. And
Yeah.
so Peter's got tons of great nuggets, tons of them. I don't think we're going to get, between now and Thursday, the Tua is being first overall rumor. I don't think we're going to get it.
Workout didn't do it.
I don't know.
I mean, it looked pretty good. The clips that I saw that Mort posted.
I don't know.
He looked strong.
I know.
Got the ball out.
Looks
Dilfer
li-
was there.
And the whole Joe Burrow doesn't want to be drafted by the Bengals stuff. That's been real quiet.
We haven't heard that in a while.
Should we maybe we should dust that off.
I'm all for rumor mongering.
Well, I mean, it's not rumor mongering. It's digging around the edges. Carson Palmer's on in hour number 2. Now, Carson's the one who said Bengals don't want to win, all that sort of stuff.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, he would know.
Well, I mean, his brother is the throwing coach of Joe Burrow and all that sort of stuff, and that's the connective tissue. I'm not saying we're going to try and reconnect the tissue. I'm just saying we might get to that subject with Carson today, who I really wanted to have on specifically, to be very honest with you. And, I know when people say to be very honest with you, it might give off the impression I'm not trying to be honest on other times. I really am.
Not genuine.
It's a phrase, please. Just a phrase. Bruce Arians has Tom Brady in his house. Is everything all right over there, Mike?
I need to check something real quick.
Okay, very good. Mike's going over there.
He's like staying at his house, like a Jim Harbaugh sleepover situation?
No. Remember we had Trent Dilfer on, right? Remember we had Trent Dilfer on in our Zoom shows?
I did, a couple weeks ago.
And he said about Arians and Brady and how they're going to work well with each other and how towards the end of his, career, Brady's showing up in Bruce Arians' house and how they're going to really connect. And he said at one point, Carson Palmer's the one that really could give you the best insight on that. Remember he said that to us?
I do. Yeah, right to the horses. No.
And then Tom Selleck. I've been cultivating this caper with Tom Selleck for a very long time. I could not be more excited to have him on this show. Unfortunately, the circumstances for one of the reasons why he wants to call in is he wants to remember Al Kaline, the great Tiger Hall of Famer who passed away last week and who Selleck adored and watched growing up play baseball, and then the two of them connect. Remember the movie Mr. Baseball? Do you remember that movie?
I do.
Okay. Where Tom plays somebody that's going to the Japanese league to...
Yeah, former Yankee great gets basically demoted in his eyes, quote unquote, to the Japanese league.
Right.
And then tears
and
it
so
up.
To get ready for all that, he trained with the Tigers, and Al Kaline helped him out.
That's awesome. He looked like a real ball player in that movie, too.
Well, we could talk about that, right?
Dennis Haysbert, also in that movie.
Dennis Haysbert.
My buddy.
So... we got that. Are we good over Mike Del Tufo? Everything good in the back?
Yeah, I had to go in the back and have the guys turn up the levels to YouTube.
Okay.
So hopefully that's a little bit better for my
So the
my
454, the 454 is saying it was a little low? Is that what they're saying?
Yep. So hopefully this...
A little low. That's all right. It's,
The adjustment's not out here, so...
So you adjusted it?
I adjusted.
We're adjusted.
Very good. Very, very good. So the NBA is the association to watch, the sports league to watch. They're the ones that have the international audience in a way that I think is the envy of every other sports league, and that includes the NFL. The NBA is the league to watch to see when they might reopen, when they might play games, and obviously, the virus is the timeline, and we'll set the timeline, and we've talked about that over and over again. Mark Cuban, do you have that soundbite, please, Mike Del Tufo? Mark Cuban had this to say about reopening the league and the likelihood of there being fans when that happens.
Do I see us getting back to a season? I don't want to make any predictions, but I'm hopeful that we will. But I don't think we'll play in front of fans. I think initially we'll play just for the TV cameras with essential personnel and players. And I think that's a great thing because I think we need things to cheer for. We need teams to get excited about. We want a communal experience so we can all root for our favorite teams. That's going to be a big step. And I think the NBA recognizes that that's a responsibility we have and that we'll undertake as soon as it's safe because we won't do anything to jeopardize the safety of our players or employees.
You know what? We're all just guessing right now. We are all just guessing.
I mean, I'm totally okay with that, just as long as we get the league back. Like Mark said, we all need things to cheer for and look forward to in the sports world. And if the league comes back and there's no fans, so be it.
So be it.
So be it. At least there's games. Like this NBA season was so great. And it would be a shame if it doesn't get to finish because it was so awesome. Can LeBron win another ring? So many great storylines. And just to have him go away would be really too bad.
Especially since you're talking about, even on the lower end of the standings with how, let me throw something out here too. I was about to say with the 8th and final playoff spot in Memphis and how would,
oh, sure.
how is Zion performing and coming on?
Right, sure.
What if the league comes back in, say, October? Let's just throw it out there.
We're going to finish the 2020 season in
Correct.
October?
Let's just say that.
Okay.
Or, because, again, you've got to get everybody quarantined. Not just the players, coaches, staffs, front office, league staff that has to put these games on, referees, announcers.
The broadcast crew.
Well, the broadcasters can probably do it from home. I mean, that's true. They don't have to physically be there.
Cameraman.
You can call them off the television. Yeah, the cameras.
They robotic camera.
Honestly, I don't know how you could hold these games with as many, I guess, with as few number of people that are there, right? So, however the few number of people that there would possibly be, you'd have to have. But what about the idea, Chris? Let me just throw it out here.
Okay, what do you got?
Since we're just,
everything's speculation at this point,
everything's
right?
speculation.
Yeah.
Let's just say August hits, and suddenly there's enough people in the world that will know they've had it. The serology, the testing is at such a point where you know that enough people who are out there to have had it, and the tests, God forbid, by August, they will be plentiful. There'll be enough reagents to actually hold tests. There'll be enough money that has been thrown at it that that the tests are rampant enough that we all have it as regular humans, and then the NBA players will have it, and we don't feel like that they're getting something that we're not to save our lives, that they're getting to save their season, right? Let's just say that whole thing is arranged. Let's just put ourselves in that world, right, Chris?
Okay. I'm living there.
And the league starts in August. And there's have to be like a week of training camp, right? Just to get up to speed and all that sort of stuff.
Giannis needs to touch a basketball.
And they'd have to have a tournament to see who gets the 8th and final playoff spot.
Okay.
So it would start with what Brian Windhorst has suggested that the league should do from now on, which is cut the schedule by an 8th and have the last week and a half be a tournament for seeds 8 through 15 to play each other for the right to be the 8th seed in the playoffs. Let's just say they do that. In the Western Conference, and this is August, I keep saying that for a reason, not just because it's far enough in the future where this is feasible health-wise, but Klay Thompson is healthy.
Kevin Durant, too, in the East.
Kevin Durant. Do you think he'd be even healthy by August? That's the idea, right?
I mean, that was the idea, to have him ready for the 2020-21 season.
What if these things happen?
So suddenly now the Warriors have
The Warriors have Klay and Steph and Draymond and Wiggins and Steve Kerr coaching them up. And they're the 15th seed in that tournament.
So let me just play this out. So
I'm just saying.
So they would play the Grizzlies in a what? Are we doing one game, winner take all, best of 3?
I guess what it would start, best of 3 just to start it off, or
the round 1 is a one game?
I don't know how long it would take. Yeah. And then the Warriors become the 8th seed and take on LeBron and the Lakers in an empty arena.
Hey, let's go, man.
Wouldn't you be all in?
Let's go. Let's go.
Sort of thing.
Let's go. Yeah.
You know, it would be something to just food for thought. Just
by the way, the
throwing it all
Nets,
out there.
Just look at the East. The Nets are the 7th seed. Suddenly they get Durant back. Now Kyrie's had 6 months to heal himself.
Right.
And so they're, quote unquote, fully loaded for this abbreviated NBA playoffs.
Right. In the meantime,
Be fun.
by the way, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Did you see the NBA horse competition?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
We did in our household for various reasons. We were watching the spelling bees in the afternoon on ESPN. They were rerunning spelling bees.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I was locked into last year's Masters final round.
Okay. Could have done that.
There was actually a lot on
We were going
yeah.
somewhat educational.
Got it.
But so we were watching some of that, and the horse is coming up. And we started watching it. And they had Mark Jones in his house,
Okay.
and he's calling the action. And you're watching Trae Young in his front, I guess, driveway, going against Chauncey Billups in his backyard.
Okay.
And they had one camera stationed on a ladder and a laptop in the right corner, if you're looking at from the free throw line into the basket, in the right corner of everybody's court. So that's where the player would walk up to and say what shot they were going to make or try, and then go and do it. And then some individual would be standing there with a handheld camera that invariably the feed would be very choppy and would be very difficult to see. And that's how it went. And that's it. They didn't have any music underneath it. They didn't have any. So you heard like the dribbling, and then like if a
whatever was kind of going
police
on
car
in there,
went by,
yeah,
you'd hear a
okay.
sigh, like you would hear their.
Okay.
I don't know if that was a specific choice or not, but I was certainly waiting for some sort of music to get things through when the shots, because they can't use dunks. It was very.
Did you like it?
Boring.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it was Zach LaVine against
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce was
Yeah.
enjoyable because they were talking crap to each other. And
And,
Paul Pierce's
right?
Paul Pierce's backyard had a huge Celtics logo.
Oh, yeah, he lives out here. He had a
a
big full
huge
court.
Celtics
Yeah,
logo
yeah,
in the middle of his hard court.
Yeah.
And Zach was just making shots from everywhere and was talking smack to Paul Pierce. That I enjoyed.
He blanked him, right?
He blanked him.
Yeah, Zach LaVine told ESPN that he's been getting up 500 shots a day during this quarantine.
It's great.
Yeah.
And Tamika Catchings going against Mike Conley was not fair because Tamika Catchings was in her front driveway
Okay.
in like a puffy vest.
Was it cold
Because it's
out?
cold where she was.
Oh, man.
And Conley's in his home gym.
Indoors, right?
Indoors. Like it looked beautiful.
I mean,
So that
37
alone,
million a
like
year.
Conley didn't have to take account of the wind or the cold when he's launching his shots. So he destroyed her.
like white man can't jump.
But
You're
it took
accounting for the
but
ocean
again,
breeze.
like Billups and Trae Young, it took like 20 minutes for the thing to be done. 20, 25 minutes, no dunks, no anything, and then no music underneath it.
yeah,
It
that-
wasn't like you.
Kinda
I
needed something.
even tweeted because the last thing I want to do is this. It is a tough world for everybody to try and broadcast from right now. I mean, NFL Network. We can write a book right now one day on what's going on with NFL Network and trying to get up to speed and trying to get things going and getting ready for a draft and how NFL Network can try and be part of the draft coverage with, our control room is shuttered right now in Los Angeles here. NFL Films shuttered. That's why ESPN is going to, you're reading all about the draft, and Peter King's going to be joining us. I mean, the draft, Bristol, Connecticut is up and running. And, we're still going back and forth about how NFL Network's going to be a part of ESPN's coverage, and how I don't even know what my role is just yet, to be honest with you. And with ESPN, I'm hoping to have one, and of significance, where you're seeing Daniel Jeremiah right now. I think he's on NFL Live. I think he's doing hits for them today. So he's already mixed in. Anyway, the reason why I bring up is it's just tough to broadcast anything for anybody, and it just doesn't, it doesn't look like we're used to, because we're all indoors. We're all trying to make something of it, right? So it's tough for me to take to Twitter like, man, this could really use some music.
Right.
Are there any musicians or recording artists who kind of can lend their music to the NBA or would want to?
Total A for effort. At least they're trying to give us something,
I know,
ESPN
but it
and
was
the NBA working
my
together
kids were
here.
excited to watch it, but it was just two people shooting around in their front yards, and
I would bet for the semifinals coming up in a couple days
they'll dress it up a little bit.
that'll be a little more oomph to it.
Mike, you want to DJ it?
I would love to do that, Rich.
What if you DJ a horse contest between the three of us, me, Rich, and TJ? Could you do that? Can we start small
Yeah,
first?
you guys want walk-on music, like walk-up music and stuff? I can.
Well, where would you shoot?
Actually,
do you have one? Does Cage have one of those little tykes?
no, there
That's
actually
right.
is.
Those
My
little
neighbor has a hoop outside that I could
He's
shoot.
in.
Okay. All right, TJ. Hold on, grab your microphone, TJ.
He doesn't have a mic.
Doesn't have a mic?
Yeah, it's not.
Put a trash can in the middle.
Trash can in the middle of
Rich
the
Eisen
studio.
Show logo.
Okay.
Rich, you got a hoop. I know you got a hoop.
I do have a
Yeah,
hoop.
Rich has a hoop.
I've got one. Jonathan in Oakland, California is one of the 454s out there chiming in. Let's take his phone call. What's up, Jonathan?
How's it going, Rich?
How are
it going,
you?
boys?
You're live
Fine,
on YouTube, on our
thank you.
YouTube stream, sir.
Thank you very much. So regarding Horse, I think you're right. I was really looking forward to it. First live anything in weeks, and the production value, considering it was the mothership or ESPN. No graphics, no clock. You didn't know what letter was going on. Poor Mark Jones had a tough job trying to figure this all out in real time. And you just see, like you mentioned, Tamika Catchings in her front yard blowing on her hands because she's cold. And
Yeah,
Mike Conley's
how
got
fair is
3
that?
hardwood courts.
How fair is that? Conley looks like he's shooting in from the set of Blue Chips, right? And Tamika Catchings is out there blowing on her hand because it's too cold. How fair is that?
Yeah, I thought he was at his practice facility, to be perfectly honest. I really did. I didn't realize that was his home.
Mike, hey, look, man, the Utah Jazz paid, and so did Memphis,
Yes. But
So-
also, guys, I just wanted to thank you for doing what you guys do, putting in the work. I'm working from home up here on quarantine with my dog, and you guys are the morning ritual, so thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thanks for calling in, man. So you didn't see that, huh?
I did.
What was it like watching the Masters again yesterday? What was that like?
It was.
By the way, I think we're going to get Nance on Wednesday.
Oh, great.
So-
he was awesome. He did a nice little split screen with Tiger, both in their homes, kind of talking about what he was feeling, what he was thinking throughout the round last year. It was just as great as watching it last year. He got all the feels back. Tiger making birdies. Molinari hitting it in the water on 12.
I thought,
and then again on 15.
when Molinari,
Right.
I forgot
it
about
was,
that.
It was crazy, man.
Because Molinari was like the king of center cut. He was an absolute machine. He does when he's on, as we've seen in his major runs. He doesn't power lip anything in or one of those side door putts. Like it's all right in the front door and center
Dead
cut.
center.
And the way he was going, I was just like, man, because I love the way he plays. I love, obviously.
Steady as she
I
goes, man.
love, as Mike, Italians, very, very partial towards Italians. I like rooting for him, but I'm like, man, this guy is going to ruin the whole Tiger thing. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, one of your greatest predictions in the history of the Rich Eisen Show. Game of Thrones will return at night, and 2 hours before, in the gloaming of Augusta, Georgia, Tiger Woods will get the green jacket slipped on him.
I was saying that months.
You were.
months
Because
out.
we were seeing when Game of Thrones was returning, and it was
Right.
the night of the Masters.
Right.
You're like, that's it.
And like Tiger really wasn't showing anything, but I
Nothing.
was just speaking it into existence.
I have a great photograph of my daughter I took of her as Tiger was celebrating because I was watching with her. I got emotional.
Oh, me too. The
We'll talk
goosebumps, the
about
tears.
That about that a little later.
It was all real. And to see Tiger talk about it yesterday with Nance was it was really special, really cool.
All right, I think you have that, Mike. Go for it if you have that right
It's
there.
amazing. We've been doing it for so long that things are starting to come together, are starting to peak. We try and peak 4 times a year, and I know that the tournament's being postponed, not until November, but for some reason, I was still peaking anyways. It's kind of funny, just in hindsight, to take a look at it now. Didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but it goes to show you muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
And then on Friday, they re-showed the 2005 Masters, which was Tiger's famous chip in on 16.
Yeah, you tweeted about that.
Couldn't believe that's been 15 years.
Vern.
And that was his last Masters championship.
Greatest Nike commercial ever. And it wasn't a commercial.
Of all time.
I mean,
the way the ball just
in case you're wondering, what's the name? What's the type of ball he's playing? Oh, it's a Nike logo in.
And then Vern, in your life.
Have you ever in your life? No.
No. And if he doesn't make that, he doesn't win because, of course, he has a 1-hole playoff with Chris DeMarco.
Didn't DeMarco then lose the U.S. Open at the next one?
Perhaps. However, the run of what if for Chris DeMarco, he loses to Phil in 2004.
That's it.
In Phil's famous run where he finally leaps, finally gets the major monkey off his back, and then the very next year at the Masters, loses in a 1-hole playoff to Tiger.
So what do you want to do? Let's use this to workshop a little bit here. What do you want our first poll question on NBCSN to be?
Okay, this is what I was thinking this morning because it is a cool sports anniversary today. It is the anniversary of the final NBA game of the late, great Kobe Bryant. We know how
Which, by the way, we're following Tirico. He called that.
We know how that ended. 60 points in his final game at Staples.
Yes.
It was absolutely incredible.
Yes.
We could go best final game performance of the last 25 years. I was looking at Kobe. Michael Strahan had a sack. They beat the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. John Elway, over 300 yards and a touchdown in his walk-off.
Okay.
Super Bowl win. I was trying to think of a baseball one. I know Jeter has the famous walk-off.
I know, Stray.
But that was his last game at Yankee Stadium.
I love Stray, but nobody sits here and thinks that
No,
Stray
but
was
he
a very
famously,
important part of that one.
and he famously retired after that game. And the defense is, the reason why the Giants knocked off.
Do you want to do how about Tiger? How many more majors you think he'll win? We come back? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down with Tiger.
Saying he's peaking.
I'm always down with Tiger.
I don't know, because again, with NBC, again, we're just spitballing here.
I mean, Kobe might run away with this.
I know that.
Of course.
Just again, I think if we say, hey, there's a lot of Tiger memories.
A lot of Tiger this weekend.
We could talk a little golf. That's a sport that NBC Sports likes. I think they like golf a little bit. A little tip of the cap to our new friends.
Of course.
We're talking a lot of football with Peter King and Carson Palmer, a little baseball with Tom Selleck, and we mix a little golf in.
I know.
Right? Tom, we asked Tom Selleck that too. What do you think his golf game's like? By the way.
I bet Selleck is a big hitter.
He shot in Hawaii.
Like the
he
llama?
was playing all the time.
Like the llama?
Like the llama. Big hitter,
Big hitter, the llama. Do you know how old Tom Selleck is?
Who?
I don't.
I'm going to guess.
I don't. He looks tremendous.
Yes.
My guess would be early 60s, like 62, 63.
Okay. Mike Del Tufo.
70,
closest without going over.
75.
There's no way Tom Selleck is 75.
Mike Del Tufo.
Get out of here.
Mike Del Tufo. If this is Price is Right, where and again,
75, 78.
For all you YouTube people.
Stop
Hold on a second. For all you YouTube people out there, it's always Price is Right rules around here. Okay? It's closest without going over. Don't play the music. I know we used to.
I know I can't.
What's your guess? 75 or 78? 75 or 78?
75.
Okay. Is that your final answer to now actually go millionaire? Mike Del Tufo would win both showcases.
Yeah.
Exactly
Nailed
that.
it?
Nailed it.
Tom Selleck is 75?
Isn't that a remark? He looks...
He was in the 40s. He was like in his 30s to 40s when he did Magnum. That's how I guessed.
Started in 1980.
Yeah, 80. I was going to be like, yep.
You're crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
He was probably like 42, 48. He was like in that.
He just
Look at
turned
him, man.
January
It's
29th.
I love this guy.
1945.
I love this guy. I love it.
I mean, that mustache.
Yeah,
is
no,
so
hold on. Let me
strong.
turn this down here. Oh, yeah.
We could do. We
wanted
could
that
really
Ferrari.
go off the rails for
And
our
do it,
poll.
and which is what?
Yeah, best TV mustache.
Oh, man. You got Tom Selleck. What else? That's a much better poll. Tom Selleck. Who else are the
All right,
TV mustaches?
Let's see.
Burt Reynolds? Burt Reynolds is a good
Burt
mustache.
for sure. Burt for sure.
But Burt was it? What TV was he on?
He was on Evening Shade.
Evening Shade. Did Burt have a mustache in Evening Shade?
He's had.
Burt Reynolds is just a okay.
Ron Swanson on.
Isaac from The Love Boat.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Great job.
Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec. Go Ned Flanders.
Ned
Simpsons.
Flanders. Okay, so we could just remove Burt Reynolds.
Take off because he's what, the goat?
No, so we got Burt
Oh,
Selleck.
Burt Reynolds. Yeah,
Burt
yeah,
Selleck,
yeah.
Isaac from The Love Boat.
Oh yeah, we can take off Burt then.
And then no, well, you got to go Parks and Rec. I mean, it's little tips to the NBC.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. What TV show is he on? I mean, if you just want to open it up to movies, I mean, Tom Selleck.
Let's not do movie. Let's just do TV show.
Okay.
Dick Van Dyke had a mustache.
No, stop.
Wilford
When
Brimley
did
had
Dick
him.
Van Dyke have a mustache?
Exactly. Just scroll with it.
No.
Oh, how about this one? Sipowicz on NYPD Blue.
Oh yeah.
Sipowicz is a good one. Okay.
Ted Karras. Hold on, I'm just
Dick Van
scrolling
Dyke.
through.
It's got to be Isaac from The Love Boat.
Larry Sanders. What's his face? His
Oh, Hank Kingsley?
Hank. Hey now.
Hey now.
The Love Boat guy for sure.
Isaac from The Love Boat.
Trebek.
Alex Trebek.
Yeah, but it's not.
Alex Trebek, 1,000,000%.
John
Okay.
Stossel.
John Stossel. Old
John Are you? What did you Google? Over
Yeah.
This is a TV guide. Best TV mustaches gallery.
And Dick Van Dyke is in that group.
Why is Dick Van Dyke
I know.
in that
Where's
group?
Dick? What?
I don't, he was playing a doctor in some show.
All right, 454 call us. Call us 844-204-RICH.
What's his face?
By the way,
Rob Reiner.
By the way, this is going to be Meathead.
Yeah.
Meathead. Rob Reiner. Meathead had a hell
Anyone
of a
in
mustache.
MASH? I'm going back to the.
Alan Dallas just texted me Barney Miller.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Barney Miller.
This could be like you could do a
Well,
Sweet
look,
16.
look, here's the deal.
You could do a 16.
Geraldo. We only have 4.
Okay.
So Tom Selleck is 1, so we got 3 left.
Tom Selleck is 1.
I say we do 4, 4, and 8. Do 8 and do make it a little bracket.
We only have 2 hours. We got 2
That's
hours.
true.
Let's we got to walk with our poll question before we run with our new NBC
I'm trying
friends.
to run.
Okay?
I'm trying to run, Rich. You know
So,
me. Not that I.
you only have what is it? One impression to make the first impression?
One chance to make a first impression.
Okay, one chance to make a first impression.
That's why you fly in a helicopter to Kaline on the first date.
Yeah, I mean, how did I know it was coming back to that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's how
I
you do it.
can't believe Emmanuel Shrieky said yes to that.
That's what I'm
And then Beetle said no.
Of course you
And
did.
then flipped back to yes.
Then Beetle's not really a flip-flopper. She
Not-
normally
not
just
a
like,
flip-flopper.
oh gosh, what
She-
happened?
She has a stance and she's in.
Nobody's touching anything, are we? Because we just lost our feeds and everything.
We're good.
All right.
Okay.
Tom Selleck, who are the other 3?
All right. By the way, I just got a heart attack right there. Isaac from Love Boat.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Ooh. Well, I want to ask this question of Tom Selleck, right? So, Ned Flanders is a good one. Alex Trebek. Well, we got to include Burt Reynolds, don't we? No, this is TV.
Nah,
It's TV. He's not really in TV.
I honestly think the Love Boat guy eats it.
No way. No
Isaac?
way. Isaac had one of the
Isaac
all-time
was the greatest.
mustaches.
All right, you guys are older than I am.
Okay.
All right, so
We can't. Why does he
TJ,
have a
you can't
microphone,
talk without a
Mike?
microphone. I don't know why you
TJ,
haven't
turn
figured
your
this
mic
out
on.
yet.
It doesn't sound that good, and you know
So
me.
you care.
Well, because
It's better that you know what doesn't sound
Here.
good. Him talking
I
and
would-
not being heard.
Okay, he
Exactly.
can turn it
So,
on.
like,
It doesn't
you gotta
sound
have
the
a
best.
microphone.
No one.
You know what sounds
Complain.
worse? Him talking and
No,
nobody
I know
hearing
it sounds
him.
like crap when he. It's
Can
off.
you open it up? Are you
Rich,
on?
this is my idea. That's what he sounds like.
Are
That's
you-
what he sounds like. TJ,
Do you
got
have it?
I could. Am I on mic? I could
What's
just
wrong
shut
with
up
that?
too. You know.
Well, no, you're involved.
So what were you saying?
Got to talk,
TJ?
I don't remember what I just said that made you turn around.
You said we got to keep Isaac, right, from the Love Boat. We got to keep Isaac from the Love Boat.
Okay. All right.
No,
I just don't know. Are we putting Burt? You're not putting Burt Reynolds
No,
on.
Burt's not on. Burt's not on.
Right.
Why don't we do? You don't want to do more than 4? Like we can't do
We
a
can't.
Sweet 16?
No.
One per hour?
No. We've got to. We can't just one per. No, we can't.
This is why you don't have a microphone.
No. We can't.
This is why?
We can't. Tom Selleck.
Yes.
And plus, we can give 20 minutes to actually create a graphic. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So, Tom Selleck. Alex Trebek. Ned Flanders, Isaac from the Love Boat. Rip off the knob. It's over.
Okay.
What else we got?
All right. I mean, a lot of meatheads.
And by the way, you could basically say
Gene Shalit.
A couple 4 or 5
Gene Shalit is an all-time great. Who remembers the Today Show movie critic? By the way, that's from our because he also did WNBC in New York.
I think we got to go with Nick Offerman.
Our crew in the live stream has mentioned Steve Harvey about 4 or 5 times.
A good one, my buddy.
The Parks and Rec, Nick Offerman had a.
But the whole thing is like you're talking about titans of television. Tom Selleck has been on television since the 70s.
Yes.
Okay. Blue Bloods is a huge hit.
Yeah.
On CBS. And Alex Trebek has been on TV since the 70s.
We got to have Trebek, even though no mustache now.
Hold on a second. Oh, our friend from Young and the Restless, Victor Newman. Eric Braeden.
Yeah.
Do we kick Isaac off and put Eric
I'm with
Braeden?
TJ. You got to do a 4-on-4.
No, we can't.
Isaac from the Love Boat.
We're not moving the goalposts.
Isaac from the Love Boat is phenomenal.
All right, we'll leave him.
Isaac's in.
So do we? And Ned Flanders has been on Simpsons, one of the longest-running television shows
All right,
ever.
then that's the 4.
That's
the 4.
it.
That's the 4.
And I do love Nick Offerman.
Who is the actor that? Can I just put Isaac from the Love Boat?
Oh, Ted Lang.
Ted Lang.
Okay.
I should have known that.
L-A-N.
Just put, but you can't. You got to put Isaac from the Love Boat.
I'll just put Isaac from the Love Boat.
Ted Lang, Isaac.
By the way, the all-time great show open, one of the all-time great show opens, is when he looks at the camera.
Yeah, Don, take me.
And gives those. Gives those. Pew, pew. Right?
Hey, Mike, that's your move.
That's what you got?
Is that where you stole it from?
That's where I stole it from.
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite
Oh,
Sam.
my
Oh, I mean.
Instead of Ned Flanders?
No. Stop.
See?
Stop.
You can do a 64.
Stop.
We might have to take this to Instagram.
This is my show, as I say.
We have to take this
This
to
really
Instagram.
needs to be a 64 bracket.
You could
challenge
totally do it. Easy.
I know.
for
but
next year. Next year.
Next time, maybe Movember. We'll do it for Movember.
I like your style.
We'll do it for Movember.
Should we all do Movember this year?
I do it every day is
Not
Movember
really
for
though,
me.
because you gotta have. It's only mustache.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that.
Right now, I'm doing November.
What do you mean?
I don't know if I could do that.
I don't know if I
Kurt
could do
did
that.
it.
Huh?
So if you're worried about game day morning, Kurt did it.
Oh, it's not. I'm not worried about game day morning.
What are
I'm
we
just
what are we
I'm
worried
worried
about?
about it. Doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't.
It's supposed to look dumb. It's Movember.
I just don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, we got a few months.
I'm just glad that I've progressed in life.
to what?
Well,
a beard guy?
I went goatee on SportsCenter once.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Long time ago. I don't know why I decided to go goatee. I think I came back from vacation, and I went goatee. I didn't go the beard. I went goat. And ESPN is like they're like the Yankees, where they do not want facial hair. I mean, take a look right now. Who has facial hair on ESPN right now?
Bucci Gross does.
Does he? I haven't seen him in a while.
He has a beard, and so does right now. Who's that guy?
Oh, Neil Everett.
Neil does. I forgot. I blanked on his name for a second.
Rich, did you go mustache? Go.
Well,
chin,
here's the
or did
thing.
you
Here's
have it
my problem.
connected?
Is that I was about 30, probably 30 or 31 when I tried it. If I had to peg the age, is that I had to draw in the connecting parts.
You had one of the pencils?
Makeup drew in the connecting parts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I was one and done.
One show and done?
One show and done.
Okay, I got to go Google this, guys. I'll be back.
I don't think it's there. I don't think.
By
you
the
can find
way,
it.
if we want to go sports mustaches, Keith Olbermann had a mustache for a long time.
Well, Keith Olbermann, let me tell you this. I have never, because I mentioned how ESPN did not like facial hair on their.
But
Yeah,
you
you
said,
guys have
he
people.
could grow fast, though, right?
I've never seen a man grow facial hair out of spite overnight.
That's true.
Everybody talks about Larry David having a spite store and how that has been a novel concept on television. Long before the spite store was brought to you by Larry David, Keith Olbermann brought you the spite mustache and the spite beard. I've never seen that before. He would walk home after a sports center or go, he'd get home midnight. I'd say, good night, KO. See you later. Next day, he would come back full face full of hair. How the hell did you do that overnight?
I saw it.
It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. Keith Olbermann is like number one in one of the in so many different ways in terms of I've never seen somebody do Sports Center like him, and I've never seen anybody grow facial hair out of spite like him. Impressive.
Yeah.
All right, so we're throwing this up on Twitter right now. Who's got the best TV mustache of all time? So we're locked in on the 4 here. We're locked in.
I'm now, by the way, I'm FaceTiming NBC right now because
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
going to do Tirico's show towards the
Oh,
end.
nice, Rich.
Syracuse. So it's Selleck, Trebek. I'm just going to put Isaac from the Love Boat because I don't think anybody knows his real name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ned Flanders. We're good on Ned Flanders?
Yeah.
Ned
How do we not
Flanders.
do that?
Ned Flanders' final answer. Okay, all right, hold on.
I'm FaceTiming him now, Don. I don't think anybody's picking up. So,
Alex Trebek. Jeopardy's been doing the college tournament. How do you think you're doing Jeopardy, Mike?
Terrible.
I am shocked to hear him say this.
No, I would stink at that.
you'd be so bad at it. It really is. Excuse me. What is terrible is actually the proper.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's exactly. Well, I did go almost on a show that happened in the 90s. They were going to bring back Name That Tune. I finished with 99 out of 100 correct answers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you were going to be on it? What happened?
Quincy Jones was bringing back Name That Tune. Never happened. I went and did the tryouts and everything, made it to the final. I got 99 out of 100.
Start again, please.
So in the 90s, they were going to bring back Name That Tune. And, at that point in time, I'm like, I'm doing nothing. I'm a production assistant in LA making no money. I'm like, let me go do it. Went to the first audition, got right in immediately. They asked me like 5 questions, like who sang this.
Who's the host?
I had no idea.
Okay.
This never got past the beginning. So it happens. It comes in. I go to the second one. Boom. Second interview. They give you like 15 or 20 questions. Got them all right. Go to the final one. It's a 100-question test. 99 out of 100. So then I have to go meet these 3 producers or whatever they were at that point.
Right.
And they're asking me, they go, you have to know, you have to have had a music background. Of course, I lied at that point. I'm like, I never DJ'd, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, there's no way that anyone could have gotten 99 out of 100. Correct? Exactly. Like I actually told them, I'm like, no, I'm not DJ. Sure as hell, the lady looks at me and she's like, 100% you have to have had a music background because there were 3 questions on that no one got right but you.
Did you do any of did you flex a little bit and go, I can name that in one note?
No, we never did any of that. We
Any
just
one
did the
notes?
audition.
Oh.
We stopped right before it got, and then it got canceled. It never happened.
All right,
I would have killed on
Here we
that.
go. Big mustache guy we didn't think of. Somebody threw this out on the in the wormhole. Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob Keeshan, everybody.
I mean, I already posted the
Bob
poll,
Keeshan.
so
It's
we're
up.
up.
No, no,
It's up.
in.
It's up.
Look,
But I'm just saying.
Walter Cronkite.
People are throwing in some really good ones
I
now.
mean, it could also be,
Groucho Marx.
me.
Oh, yeah.
It could also be
That's
me
all
me on that one time.
You that one time on SportsCenter.
Yeah, me that one time on SportsCenter.
Which one of those?
Can you use your FaceTime opportunity to ask Tirico if he's ever rocked a mustache?
And he's on right now.
There he is.
I'm seeing he's getting ready. I don't want to bother him.
Okay.
He's busy. He's in a commercial break right now.
With our tomfoolery.
I'm trying to think. It looks like to me, if I had to guess, It looks to me like he's getting set to chat with PK Subban, everybody. PK Subban, who I adore, by the way.
Dallas Cowboys fan.
Is he really?
I believe so, yeah.
I could bust in on this thing right now.
Just when we thought he was perfect.
Oh, man. Why, because Lindsey Vonn?
Hey, he's got everything going for him except
Sure
the Cowboys.
does.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of game shows, you guys ever been to The Price is Right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. No, you did the NFL version, right, Rich?
Yeah, oh, my God, have I ever. Yeah, by the way, I have FaceTimed in, and there is no way to turn the volume all the way down. So
I got to spin the showcase wheel one time when I was in CBS. Yeah, I played in the back when my buddy took me in there.
Let me tell you the
That's
story.
the cool thing.
Let me tell you my story of The Price is Right, everybody. Here on the Rich Eisen Show
With
YouTube
Nate Burleson,
feed.
right?
No. A few years ago, I think the last time the Super Bowl was on CBS prior to this one, when was it on CBS prior to this one? Romo did one, and then the last one that Phil and Jim did
50?
together. Yes. Super Bowl 50. I remember that back in that day.
Broncos, Panthers.
I'm going to turn this off. I could see them, so they could see me. So, Super Bowl 50. They apparently at the NFL and CBS decided the 50th Super Bowl required a little extra promotion. Like you weren't going to watch it. You had no idea it was coming on CBS. So I get an email from the NFL and the NFL Network, NFL PR, is wanting to know, would I want to go on The Price is Right and promote Super Bowl 50? Now, my wife has heard this so many times, and you have as well.
Yes.
Chris Brockman.
Yes. What
do I believe? Susie does not like that much when I keep repeating this. What do I believe I was placed on the planet for? Christopher Brockman.
I've known you 10 years. I've heard you say this several times.
What was I placed on the planet for, do you believe? I say all the time.
To give away cash and prizes.
Yes. Yes. Or, as a game show host would say, right you are. Right you are.
What is giveaway cash and prizes?
So,
well, I got it right.
I got that email, and I'm like, go on.
Yes.
Because The Price is Right is my show.
Did you go,
choice.
Well.
Well, no, I'm like, go on. Because just let me digress one offshoot further. The one time I met Bob Barker, Susie and I were at an event for dog rescue. Because, as you know, that was his...
That's right.
His I guess, charity of choice.
Yeah.
So, if you remember, he always used to say, help control the pet population. Please have your pets spayed or neutered. That was his sign-off of a game show, for crying out loud. And I saw Bob. And Bob Barker is one of my idols. And you know what I do when I see an idol of mine? I go right up to him.
You tell them exactly how you
tell
feel.
them. I do not sugarcoat it. I do not go shy. I go straight at it. And I went up to Bob Barker. And you roll the dice sometimes. I roll the dice. If you're a sports fan, you'll know me. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll just go right up to you. I said to Bob, this was literally like 12 years ago. I'm like, Bob, I'm the host of NFL Network, and I just wanted to tell you, the way you've conducted yourself, I have watched everything that you do, and I interview people on NFL Network all the time. I interview rookies, I interview veterans, I interview people who have gone to the Hall of Fame, I interview people whose careers get cut short, I interview people of all socioeconomic status. I interview people from all walks of life. And I emulate the way you treat people when they come to contestant row. That you don't care who they are. What race, what color, what creed, you don't care. You treat everyone the same. And I feel so thankful that I've been able to pick that up from you. I said that right to his face, and he pauses and he looks at me and he goes, so, do you want to hug it out? And I said, yes, Bob. Yes, I do. I do. And Susie snapped a photograph, which I wish I knew where it was. Because this was before, you know.
Yeah.
All right, that was John Voight calling in years ago. Fine.
I know.
So,
I should have gotten the whole
When I get invited to show up on The Price is Right to represent the National Football League, I'm like, go on. They said to me, I said, what am I going to do? So it was me and Eric Davis at the time.
Oh, okay.
We went on. And we went on for, as they said, to give away one of the showcases. And I said I would do it under one condition. I got to say 4 words. That's it. I had to say 4 words. And the 4 words were a brand new car.
Wow.
That was my condition. The showcase had to involve a car, and I had to say the words, a brand new car. Because that's obviously the way I would say. You got to go a brand new car. You can't just say a brand new car.
And there's a car.
A brand new car. Like, that's what I had to do.
Higher register when it's a good thing.
Of course. Oh, stop.
The yodel song.
And?
Damn right I did that.
Yeah. Did they win the showcase?
Double overs. What a bummer.
Oh, double words.
What a bummer. What a bummer.
Terrible.
Double overs.
$1.
Go home. Drive
you're
home
not good?
safely.
Just do $1.
Nobody got in. No, just we have some nice parting gifts for you.
Oh.
Which I did not get to say.
Oil of Olay and things like that.
Refrigerator.
No, the party gifts. The party gifts.
And people wonder, what are you going to talk about when you do the Rich Eisen show?
Yeah.
Please.
I mean,
How
come
much
on.
of a rarity is a double over? Like, that never happens.
Never happened.
I watched it. I was there. My
Never
own 2
happened.
eyes.
Terrible.
Drew Carey was particularly bummed about it.
Get
Everybody's bummed. But just walking in there, walking in the back, and seeing all the pricing games.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Like folded up and put away.
Yeah.
By the way, I've seen that as well.
Oh, my gosh. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's the wheel is the best.
And then you walk around and, you go up in like the one of the green rooms, and you go up the steps in the green rooms and these hallways, and you sit there and you wonder what's gone on in here before. Wonder what pricing game potentially was hatched
It is
here.
kind of jarring because, like, Sarah did an episode of Shark Week last year, and they
Yeah.
filmed on the exact same set, and so we were just walking around, and the set is very small. It's not as big as it looks on television, and like you guys said, all the games are just scrunched up together in the back. The wheel is like protected. It's like
Oh, the
locked-
wheels. Oh,
it's
no,
like
it's
locked in the
crazy.
back in a cage.
Oh,
The
yeah.
only reason
Yeah.
why I got it was on the actual stage, and
It was
a
pretty.
tour.
It was pretty cool.
My buddy.
All
I
right.
went to a taping once and tried to be a contestant. Went through the whole process.
Waited in line outside.
2006.
Right.
Did you wear a T-shirt?
No, I actually, believe it or not, you'll find this funny because I'm pretty casual the way I dress. I decided that my best opportunity to meet Bob Barker
Was to dress like Bob
was
Barker?
to wear a suit. So I wore a suit to The Price is Right, stood outside for, I mean, this was 2006. So I was outside for,
Did you get your TJ name tag?
they used my real name, my government name, because they took the name off of your ID. So so I had my real name, Temujin, on there. And I only went because.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, somewhere.
Damn
in
straight you
storage,
do.
I only went because it was me and my grandmother's thing. We watched The Price is Right all the time.
right.
And then
Awesome.
she passed away in 2006. But before she passed away, I
You
was
went?
able to make it home, and I kind of spent some time with her. And we watched The Price is Right. And I told her, Grandma, when I go home, I'm going on the show. And she kind of laughed and said, you better not go up there acting a fool, because she knows me. So I went through with it. I had a friend who was supposed to come with me. They blew me off, so I went by myself.
Oh, he went solo?
I went solo in a suit, and the process was long, man. You were outside for like 10 hours.
Yeah, you sit in that long queue
Sitting
line
along,
out there.
And
Yeah,
then
I've seen
you
it.
have 3 people, and they kind of ask you about yourself.
They
Right.
tape on
Background.
Mondays, right?
What's that?
They tape on Mondays?
I don't remember the
Well,
day.
all I know is this, and then we're gonna, for our YouTube feed, we're gonna be back at the top of the hour when we're on NBC SN, because I'm gonna go chat Zoom. I was about to zoom in, FaceTime with lunch talk with Mike Tirico.
Nice.
I will never forget this experience. I was such a diehard fan of the show. I blew off classes at Michigan to watch it.
Yeah.
I was such a diehard fan. I knew that when somebody won, got up from contestants row, and Bob Barker did not move, that was his spot to hit on TV, to not move because he was about to give away a new car. Every time, 100% of the time. If Bob didn't move, if he moved to another spot on stage, it was another pricing game. This one was going to be a brand new car. Then, of course, I never understood why people were so surprised after they missed the putt on hole in one or two.
Right.
I mean, like, we knew that there was going to be, you have a mulligan on the hole, the putting. And you knew that was Bob Barker. He probably went to work one day. He's like, look, we just do so much work. My golf game's killing me. Can we include a putt?
We got a good putt game? Come on now.
There is no other putting. The only other place that you can putt for potentially a cash or prize on the Rich Eisen Show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. There it is. So Peter King, Carson Palmer, and Tom Selleck, and the 2-hour version of the Rich Eisen Show that's coming up right here on this YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. You can get our podcast at Podcast One. Please subscribe if this is your first time here in the wormhole. And you're making yourself at home in our chat room. Please hit the subscribe button. That's the way we know you like us and that you'll be with us. Carson Palmer will be on the program at top of hour number 3. Call us at 844-204-RICH. And then Tom Selleck. I got to hit the poll question with a retweet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
We will be back right here on this YouTube stream at the top of the hour.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
It's on my phone, on my iPad.
Oh my gosh.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com.
He is the leader in the clubhouse.
Rich Eisen.
In every facet.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Huge fan, love your show, listen to it every day.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app. Today's guests from NBC Sports, Peter King, 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback Carson Palmer, plus star of the CBS drama Blue Bloods, actor Tom Selleck. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show that is seen for the very first time on NBCSN. Pleased to be with you here on this television sports network, along with my two compadres that have been with me since day one of the Rich Eisen Show when we launched it 5 years ago from here in this Los Angeles studio. That's Chris Brockman on the left and Mike Del Tufo, my audio executive, on the right. We are going to be here every single day for the next 2 months, right here on NBCSN, also simulcast on Sirius XM Radio, also our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show is how you could stream us. We're on the air at noon Eastern every day for a 3-hour show on Sirius, as well as youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. You could see all the different social media ways that you can connect, and the phone number as well, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial here on this show, and we'll take your phone calls, lots of interactivity. And we've got some great guests today to talk some football and a little bit of baseball, including the last guest on our lineup, and Tom Selleck will be joining us in hour number 2 here in the 2 o'clock Eastern hour. That it's kicked off by Carson Palmer and Peter King of NBC Sports, and is going to be first up as we have an NFL draft coming up in just a couple of Thursdays from now. My gosh.
Oh, I can't believe it.
10 days from now. 10 days from now. Live from 32 team facilities and live from living rooms everywhere. And as Peter King reported earlier today, it is official. I guess he broke it over the weekend. It is official. For the very first time in the history of the NFL draft, which has been held in hotels, conference rooms, Radio City Music Hall. Last year, Nashville Broadway was turned into, Music City was turned into a draft hall.
That was awesome.
That was amazing. For the first time, a commissioner will be announcing picks from his basement. And I saw that, and I thought to myself, basement, okay? Can't wait to see, because we're seeing everybody's home office on televisions right now.
Yes.
Okay, we just on NBCSN, Mike Tirico does his show from his home office. He's got a Mike Eruzione signed hockey stick behind him, which is a fantastic flex. A fantastic flex. And when I'm getting ready to do stuff from my home office, my wife Susie and I are going to go to work, or I'll listen to what she thinks. And you know, I'm gonna, whatever flex I've got in terms of memorabilia or signed items, it's going to be great. But I can't wait to see, what does Roger Goodell's setup look like? Like what flex? I mean, the commissioner has lots of flexes that he can do.
Hopefully it's worthy of a commissioner.
I don't know, but again, when you use the word basement, you know, the first thing I thought of is like, will at some point he be screaming for the meatloaf from his mother? Right? Or just to go, I mean, I know I'm going Wedding Crashers and Will Ferrell there, but, you know, thinking also of King of Comedy, Robert De Niro, Rupert Pupkin did his mock television show from his basement.
That's right.
And his mother, who, by the way, was really Martin Scorsese's mother in real life, would be screaming, and he'd go, "Ma!" You're like, do you think, like, that won't happen in the NFL draft? And the interesting thing is, though, I mean, we're having some fun with it in
I'm
a way.
just wondering who's going to be booing from the basement. Like, is his wife just going to do it in the background just for kicks?
You know what, Chris?
Roger has fun with it every year.
Suddenly, I don't appreciate your sense of humor. Because, again, the reason why he's home, the reason why everybody's home is that it's the most serious of reasons, obviously. And the concept, and we'll talk about this with Peter, because his column today, again, profootballtalk.com, NBCsports.com, is where you could see it every single Monday, and it's must-read stuff. He, I think, keeps calling it, and other people are calling it, a virtual draft, because we're going online. It's kind of like how we conduct our fantasy football drafts. We're online, except we know it's 10 minutes per pick in the first round, whereas if it's our fantasy draft, I know at least mine, like okay, with my buddies, like if it's over 90 seconds, we are yelling at each other, like, how do you not have a pick ready? And so that's the fantasy draft. Your awful fantasy draft, for those who might just be surfing into the Rich Eisen show for the first time here on NBCSN, your fantasy draft is absurd because there is no time limitation on how long. At one, just again, throw it out there. 1 year, somebody took how long to pick Brian Hartline?
25 minutes.
Okay, I would never be part of a draft.
The 8th round.
I would boycott that draft forevermore. But anybody calls it a virtual draft. This is serious business. This is the real, actual NFL draft we're talking about here. This is where jobs are on the line and how you are evaluated yourself as an evaluator. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to figure out who's being drafted and why they should be drafted, if there's an argument in a room, or at least a healthy argument, we hope. Or what about the medical? That's why the combine exists, is because you have to check on somebody's medical evaluation. Now, you're kind of wondering, well, we haven't had our doctor give a look-see to this person. Are we really going to use draft choice on all this? And then you've got to factor in how does this thing work? Why is my computer not doing what it's supposed to be doing? I have this whole printout sheet from the IT, and it's not working. Like Dave Gettleman, apparently from the Giants, is so old school. He might be using basic computer, like the VIC-20 that I got from my bar mitzvah, to try and run his evaluations. By the way, remember the Commodore VIC-20 computers?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I was a Commodore 64 guy.
Yeah, early.
And then you're seeing how teams are also concerned about the security of all this. Is somebody going to hack? Will we be coming on the air 2 Fridays from now talking about Hackgate?
Oh, my God.
Everybody looking for that IP address from Massachusetts.
Yes, in New England.
I mean,
Foxborough.
like, yeah, when everybody sees that teams are concerned about somebody stealing an IP address and zooming into to your draft room, we all know which team they're talking about, fair or not. But it's all going down, and again, I proffer to say the reason why it should go down. And I know so many teams are trying to figure out how to do this, and I just gave you the exact reasons why teams are concerned about it going down right now, because the evaluation is so crucial, and your jobs are on the line. But we need it. We need it. And the we is all of us who are sports fans. Now, you'll hear the phrase around here on the Rich Eisen Show. Again, if you're just new to us, 844-204-RICH if you want to have a conversation. We take your calls on this show. We use the phrase "with all due respect" a lot around here. That is the lead-in to us creating the leg room to then go ahead and say something totally disrespectful.
Usually.
With all due respect, I tuned into a horse competition yesterday on my friends at the Worldwide Leader in Sports. It left a little bit lacking in the pizzazz front. I thought it could use a little bit of music underneath. But we're all doing stuff this day and age from our homes. We're all doing stuff on TV, hoping that you see it and hoping it's a needed distraction. And we're seeing people talk about how it didn't move very fast. I watched it all with my kids. We're sitting there watching Trae Young go at it with Chauncey Billups. It took 20 minutes, 25 minutes the first round. They didn't dunk. But we all need the distraction. What bigger distraction than the National Football League draft could there be later on this month?
No doubt about it.
And if Peter, who's about to join us again in about 10 minutes' time, if Peter's idea that the Dolphins, if, as he said, I think 1 week ago today when he was on our show.
Yes.
If the Dolphins' evaluation of Joe Burrow is so much better than Tua, which would, by the way, be the biggest rope-a-dope, okey-doke, however you wish to use that phrase, in the last 2 years in football, because the Dolphins started trading everybody away. Laramie Tunsil, Kenny Stills, Kenyon Drake. They started trading everybody away because Tua had them at hello when he looked off for safety and beat Georgia in overtime after taking that large sack 2 years ago. It's been a rumor, it's been a conversation in the NFL for 2 years now that the Dolphins want Tua. And if they think Burrow is that much better after we saw him throw 60 touchdowns last year, Peter thinks they should trade this year's first from 5 to 1 and 3 more. The 2 they have this year and 1 that they have in next year's draft, extra, to go up and get Joe Burrow. If that happens on draft night, we're all going to freak out.
Oh, baby.
None of us are going to sit and say, well, why are we holding this draft? We'll forget about that lickety-split.
No, it'll be fully on.
Right. And I'm still waiting to hear, as you know, I've been talking about this since the Combine, since before the Combine. I'm still waiting to hear Tua is the number 1 overall pick, potentially.
Yeah, that was one of your hot predictions going into Combine.
I don't know if we're going to get that.
Doesn't seem like it.
I mean, Trent Dilfer and ESPN. Trent Dilfer has been texting a lot of people. Me too. He's been. He was on one of our shows that you can catch on our YouTube stream. Again, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. When we a few weeks ago did shows on Zoom only. Yep. Trent is the throwing coach of Tua and says he is one of the most special guys he's ever seen. And he said that before he was a throwing coach for Tua. And he says he is really looking great. Better than maybe before his hip injury. I don't know if we're going to get that all the way up to 1, though. Because if that happens, if somehow Tua is number 1 overall, unlikely as it may seem,
look out.
Nobody's going to sit here saying, why are we doing this draft tonight? And then, of course, the number 1 story going into next season, regardless of what happens in the draft, is clearly Tom Brady in Tampa. And again, we're just knocking on, to use the John Gruden phrase, we're hoping for a full season. Knock on wood if you're with me. And in terms of Brady in Tampa, hooked up with Bruce Arians, we had Marshall Falk on last week, and Marshall said they're going to be amazing together. And Marshall had a front row seat of Peyton Manning being a rookie with Arians in his ear in Indianapolis all those years ago. And Trent Dilfer, when he was on those Zoom shows, says, you know who would have a great insight on Brady hooking up with Arians? If you will, an old dog being taught new tricks by an old dog who loves biscuits because he says you can't get it without risking it. It's Bruce Arians and Brady. Dilfer said Carson Palmer would be the guy. So top of hour number 2 here on this NBC SN version of the Rich Eisen Show, Carson Palmer, and then Tom Selleck, everybody. And because you only get, what's the phrase? 1 impression to make a first impression?
1 chance to make a first impression.
Okay. Why can't I?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because there's no cash and prizes.
Because you get only 1 chance to make a good first impression or any first impression. Why do I keep screwing this up?
You get 1 chance to make a first impression.
Very good. You found your camera, too. Ish.
I'm talking to you, buddy.
Our poll question, which you can vote on at Rich Eisen Show, which is our Twitter handle, based on Tom Selleck joining us in hour number 3. Chris Brockman,
Yes,
you're
sir.
on the floor. What is our poll question?
Okay, so we had a great debate about this in our YouTube-only first hour.
Mm-hmm.
Who's got the best TV mustache of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time.
Okay. Because Twitter only gives you
Now, that's the thing.
4
like,
slots.
Twitter, you get 4 options on the poll.
Yes.
So, obviously, Tom Selleck is one.
Yes.
He's a first ballot Mustache Hall of Famer. The 3 others, great debate. Here's what we came up with. Alex Trebek, Isaac from The Love Boat, and Ned Flanders from The Simpsons.
Okay.
Best TV mustache all time at Rich Eisen Show. Vote right now.
And look at Tom Selleck now. I mean,
He looks phenomenal.
It's just seriously. The stash is still flowing. So,
with all due respect to a lot of great mustaches,
right,
we had to leave off the list.
Right. And so to any, let's just say, NBC Sports executive watching us right now,
yes,
potentially for the first time, just to check out the goods. To come full circle, because that's what Eric Stonestreet calls Roger Goodell. Okay. If you're sitting there saying, after you just heard our first poll question, really? That's what we get?
Well,
my answer would be just like Isaac from the Love Boat. Welcome aboard. It's love. The sweetest reward. Okay, I can't. If I start, I can't stop. It's like eating chips. Okay, so let's take a break. Peter King will join us when we come back. His Great Football Morning in America column unpacked. Carson Palmer and Tom Selleck as we are live for the first time on NBC SN on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, everybody. Now we're back on our YouTube feed. So we're back in 3 minutes, Don? Is that what it is? 3:30? 3:15. Now 3:10. All right, we won't do this for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
By the way, I never thought I would address an NBC Sports executive
with the
Isaac.
double guns?
Yeah, the double guns. Do you think somebody's phone light's gone on right now? Like, really? Double guns?
What? Rush
yes.
this?
I mean, I could really go down a Love Boat wormhole if you really want to do that. I
mean, look, I've never seen The Love Boat. Is that all right?
Don, take my camera, please.
But I know we do this all the time.
I know you're born after it, but I mean, not even once.
There's
probably someone.
I've seen The Love Boat.
Chris, there's probably someone in Slovenia right now watching it in their native language. Are you kidding me? Gavin McLeod's estate is probably getting a 5-cent check as we speak.
5?
Probably.
No more than that, I bet.
I don't know.
But that was Fantasy Island and The Love Boat are they're Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days.
Yes.
Fantasy Island, the two most.
Love Boat into Fantasy Island.
Yeah, that was
250 episodes.
Dude. Oh yeah, it was on forever.
Jeez.
Do you know how many actors and actresses
were on it?
Improved?
Wow.
Everybody was on that.
Hey, I just want to let everybody know out there about Geico. Certainly out there in our Podcast One universe, I want to let them know about Geico. If you own or rent your home and you know it's very hard work, I'll give you something that's totally easy. Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. Imagine what a headache that is if you don't have the ability to bundle it. It's a good thing because you've got already so much to do around your home right now. I'm sure you know. So go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Look at our phone lines all lit up, Christopher. It's like Christmas here.
There's
in April.
300 people with one episode stints on The Love Boat.
Dude, Charo, Jack Klugman. If Charo and Jack Klugman did not have a love affair on the Lido deck once in those 250 episodes, I will eat my hat. And I don't have a hat.
How are we going to check that?
You can't. You can't cross-reference it.
Cross-reference.
I am telling you, if Bert Convy and B. Arthur did not...
It's true.
By the way, this is the word. This is the...
I don't even know what that means.
You don't even know what that means.
I love it.
Bert Convy.
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Oh, my God. All right, we're back in a second. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show is how you can catch all 3 hours of our show if you want to watch it. Obviously, we're thrilled to be on NBC SN from 1 to 3 Eastern every single weekday following Mike Tirico's new show and part of a whole block. I'll tell you what, it just makes us, certainly with our poll question, our first one in the history of our show on NBC SN. Chris, you want to read that off for people to go to our Twitter handle at Rich Eisen Show to vote on right now?
Yeah, hit Twitter right now. We're talking about the best TV mustache of all time with Tom Selleck coming on. He is one of the options, of course.
Yes.
Along with Alex Trebek, Isaac from The Love Boat, Ted Lang, and Ned Flanders.
Okay.
On The Simpsons.
So go to at Rich Eisen Show and vote. And again, the fact that we can bring this content to our friends at NBCSN makes me proud as a peacock. I don't know about you. Very excited.
Same as well.
And Carson Palmer is going to be in hour number 3 of our simulcast, but our next and final of 2 hours here on NBCSN. Again, 1 to 3 Eastern every single day. Sirius XM channel 211 as well. And this seems to be like a regular Monday spot for him these days because his Football Morning in America column that you can catch, NBCSports.com and ProFootballTalk.com, is just a must read. And this one that he filed, I believe, at 1 in the morning today is no exception. Also from Football Night in America and Sunday Night Football, Peter King back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Peter?
Rich, so good to hear you. You're on NBC. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Congrats.
Look at us together. This is great.
Yeah, that's great. Cheers.
All right, Peter.
You know, when I saw your list of guests,
yes,
and you tweeted it out,
yes,
you had Peter King, Carson Palmer, Tom Selleck.
Yes.
I immediately thought of the old Brian Piccolo, Gale Sayers, I am third. I just said, let's put Selleck 1, Palmer 2, King 3.
Well,
I'll happily ride off in the sunset with that.
You know what? When I do my cast listing, it's always in order of appearance, Peter. I don't know why. That's just a habit. It's a habit. It's a habit I can't break. So let's start with that. With the draft in order of appearance, we'll be seeing the commissioner, I imagine, up first from his basement. How did you nail down exactly where in his house he would be announcing these picks, Peter?
Well, Rich, as you know, two weeks ago, you were at the top of my column because you basically said, because I called you and I said, hey, I hear there's an outside shot. It's a maybe. It's definitely not likely, but an outside shot that Roger Goodell will do this from his home. And you said, hey, in this stay-home era, what a great example that would be, the commissioner doing the draft from his home. And so it went from a long shot to a reality early last week. And I'm told that, he has a very nice basement in his home in Westchester County, New York.
Yes.
You would think that the commissioner of the NFL would have a fairly large home and a well-appointed one. And so, Rich, he is going to stand in his basement. I suppose there will be some sort of podium, but with the way that at-home cameras now work, and I have one, you have one. I mean, most people in TV, I think, or many people in TV have them. When you're on one of those at-home cameras, you look just like you're in the NBC studio or something. I mean, it's beautiful. It looks absolutely perfect. I mean, you watch Tom Hanks over the weekend do SNL.
Right.
And he didn't have a $1 jillion camera. I'm sure he had one of these at-home cameras. But anyway, and Roger is going to do that, and they are going to put basically a screen behind him in which when the Bengals are up, they'll have 15 Bengals fans in these little boxes, these things that we're getting used to watching now, these Zoom videos now, with everybody being able to be called in. And when he makes the pick, people either boo, cheer, whatever, and he'll do that for every pick in the first round a week from Thursday.
And will they be able to be heard when he's introduced, Peter?
I don't know the answer to that, Rich. I assume you're asking me, are they going to be able to boo the living tar out of him? I don't
Peter,
know that.
Peter, it's an audio question. It was just a tech question. It's just a question about the audio and the broadcast.
Who knows? We'll see what happens. But most of the reaction to that note in my column today has been, well, wait a second. How are we going to be able to boo And
No,
I said, I can't help you there. I don't know.
You know, Peter, you've seen it. I've seen it. Everybody who boos him, when the commissioner actually goes into the crowd, as he does every year.
They love him, and everybody wants a photo.
Selfies galore. I mean, it has been insane. You know, and I proffer to say, some people who want a selfie might have been the ones that were booing him, and he comes off the stage like, "Can you sign this?" And he does, actually, every single time.
Yeah.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show, a simulcast going on right now on NBC, SN, and more. So you're calling it a virtual draft, or people, I guess, are calling it a virtual draft. But you're talking to people who are doing the draft. They don't think there's anything virtual about it. This is as real as it gets, Peter. How is it going to work? That's something that you also shed a light on, again, with Thomas Dimitroff of the Falcons in your column.
I mean, you mentioned what you just said. Two general managers, including Tom Telesco of the Chargers. Telesco said to me, they're calling this a virtual draft. I don't get it. It's the real deal. There's nothing fake about this draft. We got to live with this. We got to live with our decisions. So, yeah, the draft is going to be done differently. Obviously, it's going to be done virtually. But, Rich, there's going to be 3 different ways that a general manager is going to be able to call in his pick. And really, one of the coolest things, and I'm just getting used to. I never heard of Zoom a month ago, but one of the coolest things that I was able to do. I've been trying to get Thomas Dimitroff on my podcast, and I asked him on Friday, "Hey, let's do Zoom," and so he said, "Okay," and he said, "Look, I'll call it up on my phone and I'll give you a little tour." So the first part of the conversation I had with him was he was sitting out by his pool. And we were just talking about the draft and how it was going to go. And then he said, "Hey, let me take you inside." So there's like 7 minutes of Thomas Dimitroff showing Atlanta Falcons draft headquarters, on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And if you go onto my column and click on the video at the top of the column, you will be given a tour of exactly how one team is going to draft. And just so that you understand the mechanics of it, what will happen essentially is that there will be 3 different ways you can do your pick. There's a private encrypted channel on Microsoft Teams that is going to be the preferred method of teams to draft. So, somebody could go on that channel and inform the league, Ken Fiore, who will be on Long Island at his home. He will be at ground zero of basically moving the draft along. And they can inform him either that way, or they can pick up the phone and call Ken Fiore and tell him, "Here's our pick." Or finally, you can go on a secure conference call, unmute your line, which will be active for all 3 days of the draft, just continuously. It'll never hang up. You can go on that call and literally say, "This is John Doe of the Atlanta Falcons. We select Tua Tagovailoa with our first pick." So that is basically there's, as the NFL has said from the start, there will be multiple redundancies in how exactly you can draft.
That said, what is the biggest concern you've heard from evaluators and drafters?
I don't really think there's a lot of concerns other than I think most people, like Ron Rivera told me something really interesting. He said, "Look, we're figuring out what sort of our line of demarcation. When it gets to like maybe the 3-minute mark or 2-minute mark, we're getting off the phone and we're going to just be concerned with getting our pick in." He said, because the last thing we want to do is screw up the delivery of the pick and have somebody jump in there. And I don't believe the NFL is going to allow that. I think the NFL is going to be understanding of some of those issues. But I think it probably is going to cut down, not massively, but I think it's going to cut down the number of trades in the draft.
Just because people don't want to attempt it, or
they're not going to be used to this, and especially once it gets to be rounds 3 through 7 or 4 through 7,
right?
And you only have 5 minutes. When you're on the clock and your phone is lighting up, or there's somebody on Zoom on your staff who's getting a call for another team, and then you got to talk, it might be a little bit too much for some teams to handle. I think, as one team told me over the weekend, Rich, especially when shorter period of time, we're going to have to be working. If we have pick number 210, once it gets to 203 and 204, if we know we're going to want to trade back, we got to move aggressively at that time to try to do so.
Peter King, NBC Sports, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Separating the wheat from the chaff, from what you're hearing in terms of the rumor mill, with 10 days to go for the draft, there's a lot of chaff out there, Peter. But what are you hearing about surprises? What are you hearing as a possibility atop this draft that we might not be expecting right now?
Well, probably the thing that surprised me the most in 8 or 10 conversations Friday and Saturday was how much, and again, this is a little bit down in the weeds for people who want my next 5 sentences to be about quarterbacks. Sure. But I assumed going into my weekend that the vast majority of the teams had Jeffrey Okudah, the Ohio State corner, number 1. And I was told, and this was backed up to me too, that there's a lot of teams in the league who have C.J. Henderson, the Florida corner, ranked ahead of Okudah. So you could, that's one of the reasons why everybody thinks that the Lions want to dump out of that pick at 3, that there's not a single player that they're in love with. But let's say the Chargers or Miami or some team that maybe we're not expecting, Jacksonville, which I heard really wants to give Minshew a shot and isn't totally focused on a quarterback high. But is it possible that somebody will be so in love and a little bit, they want to be absolutely sure they can get him, either Herbert or Tagovailoa could move up with Detroit to number 3? That is possible. But I also think, as I told somebody this weekend, I said, hey, listen, Tom Telesco of the Chargers has not made a draft weekend trade for the last 3 years. And so I think he's made only one trade that involves a draft pick. That was 2 years ago. He traded a 7 for Cardell Jones. But I do think, Rich, mostly Detroit is where I think the traffic really is probably going to start.
And then that's where I want to start unpacking what you just said there, Peter, because, I know Okudah may not be atop the cornerback draft board for all teams, and that might be a reason why the Lions would want to get out of 3. But, my gosh, there's so many transformative players potentially, from Isaiah Simmons to any of the tackles to any of the pass rushers outside of Chase Young that the Lions could use the 3rd overall pick on. But that said, the Tua market is really what might drive that pick being the domino, the big domino to fall here.
Rich, I think the big question is, what is the Tua market right now?
That's the question.
I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. You have a guy who is an FOSR, friend of Stephen Ross, Mike Tannenbaum, say I think it'd be irresponsible to take 2 in the top 10 of the draft, coming off all of his injuries. And I totally get it. I've had so many Miami fans say, what in the world are you talking about? The Dolphins have been pointing to Tua for the last 2 years or the last year and a half. And I said, well, that kind of changed, didn't it, last fall? When he got another high ankle sprain that required surgery, and when he had a very serious hip injury that required major surgery. So you can't tell me that the market for Tua in April of 2020 is the same as the market for Tua was in September of 2019. Life changes. So, and again, Miami might trade up and trade a passel of picks to get up to number 3. I don't know. But I just know that is going to be, as I spelled out in my column today, 14 years ago, the Dolphins had a gigantic decision to make. Risk signing Drew Brees coming off major shoulder surgery, may not be ready for the start of the season, or take the safer guy, Dante Culpepper. Well, that decision turned out to be a horrible one by Nick Saban and the Dolphins. And it, in fact, led to Saban at the end of that year leaving Miami. Imagine how the course of football history would have been changed if he signed Drew Brees. Imagine how the Patriots' history might have changed if Nick Saban signed Drew Brees. But I'm just saying that just the same way that decision was huge for the franchise in 2006, they have another quarterback injury decision to make in 2020 that is the biggest story of this draft.
Yeah, and you're hearing from Team Tua, from Lee Steinberg to also Trent Dilfer, agent and throwing coach, that Tua is as great as he's ever been, that he looks as great as he's ever been, and you're seeing the video that came out. I mean, the arm strength is there. I guess
I just have two things to say about that.
Right.
If you were a guy's throwing coach and you were working with him for a long time, what would you say about him?
I know.
That's number one.
Again, I know.
And number two,
right.
number two, if he was hobbled in any way, shape, or form, you think they'd release the video?
Well, I mean, you could see it. You could see that he's not hobbled.
I'm not blaming them. They're Lee Steinberg, Chris Cabot. Those are his agents, and they are excellent agents. Okay, but that doesn't address what so many teams wonder about, which is Tua going to be able to play 12 or 15 years? If you draft a quarterback and want him to be your franchise quarterback, you're not taking him so you turn that position over again in 5 years.
Yeah, he doesn't look hobbled to me, though, Peter. I mean, he looks spry, man.
I am not saying he's hobbled in any way.
Right.
But all I'm saying is that, I mean, you have to consider the injury history on this guy. You just do. And anybody who doesn't is really not being responsible. I understand the wave the flag for Tua thing. If I worked for them, I would be doing exactly the same thing. But there's one thing to say, I love Tua the football player. There's another thing to say, okay, we're guaranteeing him $30 million and he's going to be our quarterback. And you know what? If I had all the knowledge that the Dolphins had and their doctors stood up and said, I stake my reputation on this, I'd take him and I wouldn't worry about it. But I don't know what team doctors inside the Miami Dolphins or Chargers or whoever are saying about Tua.
Yeah, and then we'll see how the draft goes. Last one for you. We'll see how the draft goes with the veteran quarterbacks who are still there. I don't think I've ever started a sentence with anybody this way, certainly with you, Peter, but I heard what Cam Newton told Chris Paul, and I heard what Jameis Winston told Fox News. It sounds like a Mad Lib, but they both seem resigned to not getting a job before May right now, Peter. Would you agree with that assessment? I
mean, first of all, I don't understand this. Jameis Winston is one thing. He's totally healthy. I mean, I think he would much more easily be signed somewhere by somebody now. But this is not because teams don't necessarily. I mean, I don't know what they think about Cam Newton, but this is the most unique set of circumstances about trying to vet players that I've seen in 36 years covering the NFL. You can't fully vet Cam to your liking right now because your team doctor cannot get his hands on Cam Newton, and you can't sit in a room and talk to him. Now, you obviously can have a Zoom chat if you want. I think it's pretty natural why this is going to take a while, at least with Cam. Now, look, I've said this. I think there are multiple teams that if I were them, I'd want Jameis Winston on my team, but it takes two to tango.
Peter, thanks for the time. As always, I have a feeling we'll be doing this again same time next week when it is actually draft week.
Hope we do, Rich. Thank you.
Look forward to it. At Peter_King on Twitter. And, of course, check out his Football Morning in America column on NBC Sports, ProFootballTalk.com. So there's that. The Commissioner's Basement sounds like somebody's fantasy football team name, and we'll see what the avatar looks like in 10 days from now. When we come back, your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. Carson Palmer and Tom Selleck also still to come. Okay. There we go.
We're back.
Passel of Picks. Sounds like another great...
That's a good one. It's a high school band.
Passel of Picks. Oh, we forgot to ask Peter about the mustache question. There's still so much stuff to do with the NFL draft.
You want to text him?
Passel of Picks sounds like, what, an a cappella group? Is that what it sounds like?
What are their outfits? Group? You know, barbershop quartets, they wear.
Passel of Picks?
It sounds like a follow-up to the average.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I mean,
look at that Trebek shot. Oh, my
Isaac's
God.
got this.
Now, hold on a second. That is fantastic. That Trebek photograph, probably from the High Rollers days.
Yes.
Remember the game show High Rollers
Rollers
with Alex Trebek?
Big dice.
Oh, yeah, with the big dice.
I
High
wanted those
Rollers.
dice.
High
Rockman,
Rollers. Great Isaac look and Ned Flanders.
We need a Magnum PI shot, though.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
It's great. It's Blue Bloods. We're going current.
I get it.
Even though we went old school with Trebek.
Trebek is great. That's a great picture.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd they find that one?
Great fro.
That's definitely from High Rollers.
Oh.
You got an update on that?
The poll?
Yeah.
Oh, baby. It's as I kind of thought coming in, it's a blowout for Selleck right now.
Is it really?
65%.
Isaac's got that. I mean, how does Isaac not
by the
get
way,
votes?
Isaac is
He's getting
a little more than milk right now
It's
for
terrible.
Isaac.
This is terrible.
4.6% for Isaac, Trebek 13%, Ned Flanders 18%. Ned Flanders higher than Trebek here, and Selleck 65%.
I mean,
I wonder what Tom would say. What Tom's answer, because he could remove himself.
Yeah, take himself out. Other than you.
Yeah.
Should we lead with that?
Well, yeah. There is no I in Tom or Selleck, so he's crushing it right now.
I mean, yeah, he's kind of destroying it. Like I said, he's on the Mount Rushmore of TV mustache.
Big money. What's the license plate on the Ferrari? I got this in my head. I mean, this is like easy.
Oh, you mean from Magnum
PI? What was the license plate?
Was it a vanity plate?
Remember, it wasn't his car.
What? Because it was Higgins' car, right?
No, it was the boss's car.
Yeah, wasn't that Hillerman? Is that what it is?
No. Hillerman was worked for the boss.
Oh, okay. So what was the car?
Robin won.
Man, I haven't seen Magnum PI.
I love Magnum PI.
I cannot tell you how long it's
By the way,
been.
he is handsome in some of these Magnum PI
Tom
photos.
Selleck?
I mean,
yeah.
Shirtless in probably half of them.
Okay, we're back in a second. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show is how you can stream all 3 hours. We're on NBCSN right now from 1 to 3 Eastern every single weekday, starting today for the next 2 months. We're very excited about that. Carson Palmer is going to join us shortly, and then in hour number 3, he'll kick off hour number 3. Tom Selleck is going to join us. He'll be phoning in. He wants to talk about the passing of Al Kaline, who, one of the all-time great Tigers, just a regular guy. His family placed an obituary in the Detroit Free Press, just a regular death notice that just happened to say, oh yeah, one of the all-time great Tigers. Wow. He's just a regular guy. Al Kaline called games when I was there at the University of Michigan watching Tiger games. And this is one of Tom Selleck's idols, and Tigers are the team of his youth. That's why Magnum PI had an Old English D baseball cap on. So we'll talk about that with Tom Selleck, who is destroying our poll question of the day right now before we get to the phone calls. Give us an update right now. Available on our Twitter handle at Rich Eisen Show. Christopher, go for it.
Thank you to the NBC Sports app that just, NBC Sports Twitter that just retweeted this.
Oh, very good.
Who's got the best TV mustache of all time? So your choices were Tom Selleck, Alex Trebek, Isaac from The Love Boat, and Ned Flanders.
Oh, my God.
Isaac.
Geese love ganders.
By the way, again, that Alex Trebek, if we all know him and love him as the host of Jeopardy. He did many game shows before Jeopardy, including, I believe, that's from the High Rollers days.
He also hasn't had a mustache on Jeopardy in quite some time.
Okay, but still, we still went that way.
So Tom Selleck is destroying the field today.
Do we ask Tom later about maintenance? Do we dare go in that direction with him? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, very good.
65% for Tom Selleck. Ned Flanders, a cartoon, is second right now, 18%.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The great Alex Trebek, 12.8%.
Are you serious that
Isaac from the
Ned
Love
Flanders
Boat
is beating Alex Trebek right now?
How is Isaac not?
What is, or I can't say what is "Are you kidding me?" or "Are you kidding me?" is a form of a question anyway.
Indeed.
All right, we can get it's like an
less than
Escher
5% for Isaac from the
Let's take some phone calls. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Everybody has been dialing in, which we greatly appreciate. Let us go to Raja in Atlanta, Georgia, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. You're first up. How are you, sir?
Good, Rich. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, sir?
So I am a huge Pats fan, and I'm looking to see what are the chances of Tua getting drafted by them trading up to a top 5 pick?
Well, Brockman, who is the resident Patriot fan here on the Rich Eisen Show, is giving the pray hands
Please
right now.
let that happen.
I know. Roger, I don't think that's going to happen, sir. You're too far down. 23 is where the Patriots are, correct?
Yes, sir.
With
12 picks overall, though, in this draft.
And as you know, the Falcons hold the Patriots' second-round draft choice because that's who that's what they coughed up for Mohamed Sanu during the middle of the season. And thank you for the call. I think the Patriots' best option is to, even though, you hear how Peter said that he thinks there'll be fewer trades because it's just there's too much going on in terms of monitoring the draft, right? But I bet you Bill Belichick will figure out how to do that, and he will. I think trading down for Jalen Hurts would be the way if they're going to go and identify a quarterback. Trade down and get somebody in the second round.
I think they need to get into the early 30s, though, to get Jalen Hurts in that second round.
Or you go to the very end of the first round, and you figure, to heck with it, we don't have a second-round pick, so this is our second-round pick, and we get an extra year of contractual control, just like what the Ravens did to pop up into the end of the first round and get Lamar Jackson there. And so Lamar Jackson was the last pick of the first round, which is essentially the second round anyway.
Right.
I don't know if the Chiefs would be willing to do that sort of thing, or obviously the 49ers will be down there. We do know that Belichick and John Lynch have had conversations about trades that involve quarterbacks eventually. Speaking of Atlanta, Georgia, before I take these calls, the stuff with Todd Gurley and Dion's number, that Gurley told a local radio station that he's getting 21, but Dion told him not to take it. And he said that Dion was hating on him. And Dion then had to send out a statement on Twitter saying I was just joking with him.
Right. Because other people have worn 21 since Dion.
Like what? Didn't
Marcus Trufant, I think, has worn it.
Desmond did it last year. Yeah. Can I say this? I will say, I'm going to go the other way. First of all, Dion's 21 should be
retired,
encased. That's number one.
When I saw Todd Gurley tweet out the photo, I was like, how is 21 not retired by Atlanta already?
Dion, as we all know, the old Georgia Dome was the house that Dion built. He joked about it all the time. He's absolutely right. He's one of the greatest athletes that the city of Atlanta has ever seen suit up twice for two teams at the same time, by the way. Dion would have been the World Series MVP had they beaten the Blue Jays that year. Look it up. Again, that's not a reason why a number should be retired for a football team. But let me go in this different direction. Even though I love this guy and Gurley, why would you want 21 if you're going to Atlanta? Don't you understand what that means? Why would you even want it? What's the point? Did he wear 21?
So Gurley wore number 3 in college, right?
What are you wearing? I don't even know what he wore for the Rams.
Number 30. So college number with a 0.
Right. Well, when you're going to the Falcons saying, I want to wear 21, that's, you know what you're asking for. Now, Philip Lindsay called up. Remember, Terrell Davis said, I want to wear 30, and TD said, sure. Go for it. And he told us how special Philip Lindsay was, and none of us drafted Philip Lindsay in our fantasy draft. We should have listened to Terrell Davis.
Now, Quadri Allison wears 30 for the Falcons right now. Backup.
I don't understand. That one just, everyone's like all over Dion. Why would you even ask for 21? I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
When I went to
number 3,
I guess I shouldn't compare this. When I went to ESPN, because came from Redding, California, which was the local ABC affiliate in Redding, California. Spirit of the North State is what we called ourselves. the ABC affiliate. Would you like me going to ESPN and saying, I want Berman's office?
They would have been like,
What?
That would have been a bold move. You should have tried that.
Cotton, huh?
You should have tried that.
This is one of our longtime listeners and callers here in the Rich Eisen Show. It's only fitting that he calls in on our first day here on NBCSN. Alan Dallas here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Al?
Richard, welcome to NBC.
Thank you, sir. I knew you're from the Stern era. I know. What's on your mind, Al?
Listen, Richard, not to make a big deal of it, but it's a disgrace that Flanders is in that. It should have been Gomez Adams or Schneider from One Day at a Time.
Wow. We went Pat Harrington on us. Oh, boy.
So who all have been guests on what show?
One Day at a Time? Love Boat?
No, the Love Boat, correct.
Okay.
Pat Harrington Jr. was in the pilot, if you just did a little research. But, yeah, listen, Selleck
Deep.
number one over the internet on all the polls.
Okay.
So it's not even a competition. It's glad to see the Rich Eisen Show fan base and the wormholes are voting for Selleck.
Okay.
The question, with all due respect to Peter King, I hate to drop in all due respect on day one.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way that anybody should trade all their picks if they're in that situation for one quarterback.
Well,
not all the picks that the Dolphins have.
Hey,
No
man,
way.
look, the reason why Peter's saying this, and thanks for the call, Al, and the well wishes. The reason why Peter's saying this is if you think this is your guy. The number of times I sat at the other end of the set from Mike Mayock, and there'd be a pick, and I'm sure the pick was getting blown up on other people's coverages. Mayock would just sit there and go, not what I would have done, but I'm not in their evaluating process. I'm not in their draft room. If you think this is the guy, you go and trade and get the guy. Does it work out? Well, we're still waiting on Trubisky with the Bears. Does it work out? Kind of did for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, the second, by the way, which is how we introduced him at the draft. Kind of worked with Lamar Jackson, kind of worked with Deshaun Watson, even though we're still trying to figure out how Bill O'Brien's putting the team together around him.
No idea.
So if the Dolphins think Tua's the guy, go get him. If the Dolphins think Burrow is the next Tom Brady, you go get him. And you got the draft capital to do it. And, man, you took the lumps to get that draft capital. I mentioned, at the top of the show, how the Dolphins supposedly, Tua had them at hello when he looked off the safety against Georgia and won that national championship game. And I pointed out how they traded everyone away. I didn't even mention Minkah Fitzpatrick, who totally remade that Steelers defense on the back end that created maybe the greatest coaching season Mike Tomlin's ever had. That team went 8-8 with Duck Hodges. Now they come back, they've got Duck Dynasty back at quarterback. Hi, Ben. But, if you think you've got that guy, you go get it. And the Dolphins have the draft capital, go get it. Could have even been better. They might even have to go up to get him if they didn't complete the tanking or blow it up by getting the anti-tank quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. That man, he's got it in him. We all know. They're drafting 5th overall instead of 1st overall because of that guy. But that's why. Or do you hold on to your draft capital now? You pull a Braveheart and you scream "hold" as the horses are coming running at you. Hold, wow. And you and everybody's running at you and saying, "Here's the opportunity. Why aren't the Dolphins moving?" And Greer and the rest of the Dolphins are sitting right back there, hearing everybody galloping at them, and you're screaming "hold." And the reason why you hold it is because Trevor Lawrence is coming out the next year, and
sure
you got 2 first-rounders next year. But you're rolling the dice that somebody's sitting 1st overall because you're probably not going to finish 1st overall because they have made enough free agency moves and they do have a coach who knows how to win. We saw that from Flores over the last half of the season. You're running the risk that next year's draft won't be topped by a quarterback-needy franchise because that team is definitely taking Trevor Lawrence. So if you think this is the guy and you have the moment to do it, you got to do it now. Man, that's the drama in this whole thing. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial here on the show. Let's take one more quick one here on our program. Let's go to David in Buffalo, New York. David, I've got about a minute for you. What's up, David?
Hey, Rich. Appreciate you taking my call, man. Been a big fan of yours for a long time.
Thanks,
We're
pal.
going back to ESPN. I'm a huge Bills fan. I love what we've done this offseason with Stephon Diggs. I got a lot of faith in McDermott and Brandon Beane. I think Josh Allen's the whole key to this team, though, if they're going to take that next step, become a contender. What do you think, man? And looking forward to watching your show and calling some more here in the spring.
Thanks, pal. You do that. Don't lose the number. 844-204-RICH. Of course, it's a quarterback-driven league. That kid had a great second season. Better than Baker Mayfield, better than Sam Darnold, who were taken before him. I'll tell you that. I still can't believe the Bills lost that playoff game. I'm sorry to keep mentioning that. How did they lose that game to the Houston Texans?
I mean, there was
what a holy heck of a mess that was.
Illegal block call, and Josh Allen kind of did some weird things.
But Diggs, Ed Diggs, Brown had a heck of a season. I love that Singletary kid in the backfield, and it is Josh Allen. And hey, if he takes a step from year 2 to year 3 in the same way he did from year 1 to year 2, look out. Exciting times. It's their division to lose, and I'm saying that with a straight face.
Come on. It is not their division to lose.
How is it not?
What do you mean? Does Bill Belichick still coach the Patriots?
Oh, my word. Suddenly you're a big Jarrett Stidham fan all of a sudden, huh? Yeah, he made the playoffs last year. Jarrett Stidham's never started a game in his life. Josh Allen's already got a playoff start under his belt. It's their division to lose. I said those words without a hint of irony.
That is
844-204-RICH, number to dial. At Rich Eisen Show is how you can tweet with us and Instagram with us and Facebook with us. YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show is how you can watch us live. Our next hour on NBC starts with Carson Palmer, ends with Tom Selleck and you.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
It's on my phone, on my iPad.
Oh my gosh.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com.
He is the leader in the clubhouse.
Rich Eisen.
In every facet.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Huge fan, love your show, listen to it every day.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app. Earlier on the show, from NBC Sports, Peter King. Coming up, 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback Carson Palmer. Plus, star of the CBS drama Blue Bloods, actor Tom Selleck. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hello, everybody. The final hour here of the Rich Eisen Show on this Monday before draft week. We're live in Los Angeles, California on our simulcast. You can check us out every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern. Right here on NBCSN. Hour number one, we did not get pulled off, so I'm going to take that as a positive that we're still on.
They like the poll question?
Maybe they like the poll question because Tom Selleck's calling into this show. We decided to make our poll question Selleck mustache centric. Christopher Brockman, my on-air colleague, who was with me from the very early Rich Eisen podcast days, from which the Rich Eisen Show was born over 5 years ago. Now here on NBC SN, Mike Del Tufo, my audio executive over there from my great state of New Jersey. Read the poll question, Christopher, over there.
All right, thanks to all 5,000 of you who have voted so far at Rich Eisen Show. Who's got the best TV mustache of all time?
Yes.
Tom Selleck, Alex Trebek, Isaac from The Love Boat, and Ned Flanders. Guys, Tom Selleck running away with this 64%. Ned Flanders, a cartoon, mind you, is second, 18%.
Thanks for that reminder.
Alex Trebek, 13%. Isaac from The Love Boat, a hair under 5%.
I don't understand. I mean,
how's Isaac not?
The double point.
I mean,
the number of times that Isaac made sure that Jack Klugman and Charo could get together when it looked like they were going to break up. I mean, I just said those words. Tomorrow's show, we already have a guest at this very time. Make sure you're here on NBC SN tomorrow at this very time, or on our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Please subscribe there, too. You can go down a video wormhole there. Sirius XM Channel 211, our podcast available on Podcast One. At this very point tomorrow, the very funny Joel McHale will call into the show. Did you catch the Tiger King add-on last night on Netflix? That Joel hosted.
No, I missed it.
Oh, my gosh.
Was it great?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that with Joel. And also, he's a diehard Seahawk fan, so we'll hit the NFL draft with a very funny Joel McHale. Right now, I turn to the phone line, a man who spent 15 years in the National Football League, Heisman Trophy winner from USC, and a good friend of the program. Number one overall pick back in his day. He is Carson Palmer. How are you, Carson?
Rich, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
You got it. A man who knows his facial hair, and you. Do you want to chime in on our poll question today to start everything off? The best mustache in television? I don't know if you heard the choices that we have out there, Carson.
Oh, it's. I mean, I actually used to rock a Detroit Tiger hat back in the day, and couldn't name a player on the team, but Magnum PI used to rock that hat, so I did myself.
Are you serious?
I think he's an obvious pick for Runaway, and in fact. He had the mustache in which every mustache was judged thereafter. So there's no doubt it's the best mustache ever.
Well, I mean, I do have to, on behalf of Burt Reynolds, step in here and say, but maybe just television-wise, and we're looking at right now at the Detroit Tiger hat. So you would watch Magnum PI and young Carson Palmer growing up said, I got to rock the Detroit Tiger hat because of Magnum?
Oh, I love the show. I rocked that hat, like I said, for a long time. I couldn't have told you a player on the team, but Magnum PI was wearing the hat, so was I.
Is that why you have a Ferrari now, too, Carson?
Red Ferrari, yep. Still rocking the red Ferrari, too.
You slide across the hood of it right when you get home. That's what you do.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's get into some football conversation. Your name came up a couple weeks ago when I had Trent Dilfer on talking about Tom Brady and how he will look in the Bruce Arians offense, or how the two of them will work together. And he's like, who would talk very well on this front about it would be Carson Palmer. So now here you are. How do you feel the Arians-Brady marriage will go, Carson?
Well, I think it's going to be great. I mean, Bruce is, he's a very difficult guy to play for. He has very, very high expectations. He doesn't put up with a lot of nonsense, but he treats his vets like adults and like vets, and he treats the young guys like young guys. And obviously Brady coming there and having the experience he has, I see him running and them running a lot of what Bruce's offense has been for a number of years. But I also see Tom coming in and going, look, I need my 30 pass plays that I absolutely love. We can reterm them and put them in your language so they fit in the Bruce Arians offense. But I would almost be positive, and I don't know this for a fact, but Tom's coming in and really running the bread and butter of what he's been running for the past 20 years. I mean, there are very few quarterbacks that get to play really in the same system their entire careers. And for 20 years in New England, it was first it was Charlie Weiss and Bill O'Brien and then Josh McDaniels, but really that was Brady's offense. If you go back and look at the years, they're running the same concept year after year after year. And, it goes from, Wes Welker into Julian Edelman and then just continues to evolve into different players. But really it's the bread and butters of what he's been running for the last 20 years. So I would assume that Tom's going into New England with his top 30, 40 pass plays and really kind of building what Bruce's offense doesn't have or doesn't have similar plays to what Brady's been running for so long, and then building upon that. So I think at the end of the day, it's a really good mixture of those two guys' offenses.
Carson, you started your answer with two statements that normally would be contradictory. You said it's going to go great, and then you said Arians is difficult to play for. Normally that sounds like that would be a bad mix. What makes him so difficult to play for that actually is great for a quarterback, Carson?
Well, that sounds a lot like Bill Belichick, doesn't it? I mean, really, really great to play for, but really, really difficult and very demanding and very high expectations. It'd be one thing to be a first-year quarterback and a rookie quarterback under Bruce. It would be a long, long season. But being Tom and having his accomplishments and his 20-plus years of experience, I think Bruce is going to treat him really, really well and treat him like a vet. But I think Tom is used to a certain standard, and Bruce demands that same kind of standard that I think Belichick does in New England. So I think that mesh is going to be really well. It's not going to be that far off as far as how difficult practice is going to be, how intense meetings are going to be, how you really have to be on top of your game, whether you're sitting in the classroom and Bruce is up in front of the group, or you're out there on the practice field, or you're on the sidelines in game day. He is always on it. He is very strict. You cannot, if you're a young receiver and you line up in the wrong spot, more than one time, it's probably going to be a couple of days till you get another rep on the practice field. He does not put up with nonsense and not knowing your stuff, and that's a lot of what we hear out of Bill Belichick in New England is he's difficult to play for. He's very demanding. So, I don't think it's too big of a transition for Brady. He's not going to a very loosey-goose environment with a lot of pump up speeches and some of the stuff you hear out of different teams in the league. He's going to kind of a similar guy. He expects you to be on your P's and Q's. He expects you to have already watched your opponent coming in to the next week and know the defenses you're playing and know the personnel. I mean, he is not easy to play for. But as long as you take care of your business, you play to his standard and the standard you set for yourself, and you come into a game week knowing your opponent and knowing what blitzes come up on third down and what to expect in the red zone. As long as you stay on top of your game, Bruce is great to play for.
So what's the most difficult? This begs the follow-up, Carson Palmer. What's the most difficult memory or the most difficult Arians was to you that leaps out from your memory? Give me the most difficult moment you had with Bruce.
There was one every day.
Okay.
Nonstop. He doesn't let you get away with anything. I mean, his point is this is the National Football League. Guys aren't running around wide open. You have to make guys open and throw guys open and use your eyes to open up, receivers and tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. But he's just always on, and he's great. He's great to have a beer with and play golf with. But when you're at the facility, you better be on your game, and you better know if he asks you a question, you better know the answer, or else he's you're going to hear about it, and you're going to hear about it, and so is everybody else on that team, because he's going to say it loud enough that everybody hears him, making sure you know your stuff. And from everything we all know about Tom is he shows up ready to work. He shows up prepared. So I just think that mesh is going to be really, really natural and easy for the two of them.
Carson Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. So you say, again, Tom will come in with a bunch of plays, and Bruce will change the language. Byron Leftwich will place it all into an offense, and off they go. What do you say to people who think it's not maybe a scheme fit because of the no risk it, no biscuit? Tom's going to be 43. There might not be enough people back to protect, et cetera, so on and so forth. That's definitely been part of the conversation I've heard a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Bruce's offense, and he sits in a ton of, he empties the backfield, and they're in spread offense. No backs in the backfield, no extra tight ends in blocking. It's 5-on-5. 5 offensive linemen blocking 4 or 5 pass rushers. So, I mean, that's what Bruce wants to be in. He wants to give you as many options as you can have with having 5 guys out in a route. And you look back at, especially back in the day, in the mid 2000s. Brady was in a ton of empty packages, and we just would sit at the line of scrimmage in no huddle type scenarios and redirect protections and pick up a lot of different blitzing schemes that people were bringing at him and throw the ball down the field. So I think those two guys see the game the same. Now, can Brady still on a 7-step no hitch type of pass play throw it 65 yards if he's got the right coverage and the right pattern on? Probably not. He's probably a guy that needs to get to the top of his drop, be moving up in the pocket, and be able to really hitch into throws to get the ball down the field. That is going to take away some of the stuff that Bruce loves to do. But what you lose with Brady, in his arm being 42 years old and maybe not having, the same carry on his long balls, maybe not having the same arm strength, you gain so many other things. I mean, his ability at the line of scrimmage to dissect what you're bringing defensively and put himself and the guys around him in the correct protection for that blitz is second to none. So what you lose physically with Brady's age and all the wear and tear in his body, you gain so much from and then you throw in the whole leadership aspect and the expectation aspect. Every day those guys are having to walk into the facility with maybe the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. I mean, you gain so much. When you weigh the gains versus the losses and the pluses versus the minuses with Brady and his age, he just has so much more to offer with his leadership and his ability to run an offense at the line of scrimmage. Before I let you go, Carson Palmer, the big story outside of the Super Bowl, at the Super Bowl, was where Brady was going to go. Now we know the answer to that. The other story outside of the Super Bowl was so big involved Joe Burrow and whether he wanted to be drafted by Cincinnati, your brother being his throwing guru, and your comments about the Bengals. You realize you kind of threw everything into the frying pan, right, Carson? Back then? Yeah, I did that a while ago, though. That didn't just happen at the Super Bowl. That happened about 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that.
Uh-huh. So...
Yeah, that didn't go over well. I understand that. I get it. If I'm asked a question, I'm going to give an answer. And outside of Cincinnati, outside of the Bengals organization, I don't think there's many people that would argue that they haven't been really very competitive for the last 20 years. So that's basically what I was saying.
Right, but it's different now, right? I mean, I know the owner's the same, but they seem to have a. Would you say that still stands? Your statement, Carson?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been there in 6 or 7 years, so I can't speak to how things are currently operating.
Right.
I just hope that they are taking those strides and making an effort, to get up to speed with the rest of the league and be on par with the rest of the league as far as. Everything that goes into building an organization and building a culture and just over the last, I don't know how many years or decades, they just haven't consistently shown an effort to try to win a Super Bowl and do whatever it takes and hire, a GM that can come in and move things in the right direction. They seem to just kind of be sitting in the same spot they have been for the last handful of decades. And I know from, just friends in the area and lifelong Bengal fans, I know it's frustrating from their perspective. It's frustrating from a player's perspective when you come from one organization and then get there and see how things are done. It can be frustrating. So I think there's just a lot of pent-up frustration from, past players, maybe some current players, but I know definitely from the fan base. And Joe's an exciting player. He's an exciting talent. I mean, he's an Ohio kid. I know, that team and that organization means a lot to him growing up in that area, and it's an opportunity to play in front of his family and play in front of his high school teammates, all the people that are still there that he grew up around, and that he means so much too. So, if what it looks like he's going to go there. If he goes there, he's got his work cut out for him. That's a really difficult division to be in. You got to play against Baltimore year in, year out. You got to play against Pittsburgh year in, year out. Cleveland's kind of a wild card because they have this massive amount of talent on their roster. So it's an uphill battle, no doubt. And the teams that pick number one, you always have an uphill battle because you had the worst record in the league the previous year. So, I'm excited for him. I think it's kind of every kid's dream to go and play for their hometown team and get to play in your home state or your home city. So that's unique and that's special. Not many people get that opportunity, and it looks like Joe's going to get that chance.
Carson, you're the man. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Best to your family, best to your wife, best to your kids, best to all the Palmers. You take care of yourself. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Rich.
Right back at you go. That's Carson Palmer right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How about that? He wore a Detroit Tigers cap because of our next guest, Tom Selleck, wearing it as Magnum PI.
Of course he did.
And there was some great insight on how Brady and Arians are going to just mesh. Sounds like what Arians' expectations of somebody or what he might make somebody's life difficult. Sounds like Brady just comes in already wired for it, right? Tom Selleck coming up next. But before we head to break, I just want to let you know about Geico and how Geico can, if you own or rent your home, make everything easier by bundling policies with Geico, making it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do, obviously, around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, see how much you can save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Tom Selleck when we come back here on The Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so Tom Selleck will be joining us in a matter of moments here after this 3-minute break here on, we're right now just talking to our YouTube viewers, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show before we return to NBC SN. And we're having a lot of fun already in our first day here, and we'll take all of your phone calls. Look at that photograph of Tom Selleck from back in the day. With the lid, the Old English D right there. Magnum PI. Way back in the day. And we'll talk Al Kaline with Tom Selleck in a second here on the show. How about Carson Palmer? One of the best college quarterbacks ever, right? Heisman Trophy winner, first overall pick, 15 years in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Very accomplished man.
Yes.
Growing up in Southern California.
Yes.
Couldn't name you one Detroit Tigers player, but wore a Detroit Tigers hat as a kid. Because he loved Magnum PI and he picked it up from Tom Selleck.
So that would have been like mid to late 90s Tigers?
Well,
Carson?
Well, I mean, Carson Palmer, I know because Susie was covering the USC and she blew her knee out right before our wedding. And we watched as her knee, she just got out of knee surgery. We watched Carson Palmer in the Orange Bowl. So that would be 2002. So you can go back to when he was in high school. That's 1998. You go back a little further. Yeah, the 90s Tigers, mid-90s Tigers.
All right, so let's look at the 96 Tigers. We're looking at Brad Ausmus, Tony Clark.
Currently, he's the
Curtis,
MLBPA president, Tony Clark.
Cecil Fielder.
Hell, heavy C-man. And then the Yankees got him. Cecil Fielder won the World Series with the Yankees in 96. Remember that? Cecil Fielder joined the Yankees. Remember it was him and Strawberry.
In
providing
96,
veteran
right?
bench strength. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at the 96
Yeah,
Yankees.
you're right. They traded for him, got the last 50 games of the year with Cecil.
Cecil Fielder was... Yankees won the World Series in 96 with Cecil Fielder, Darryl Strawberry, Wade Boggs. Charlie Hayes was the one who snagged the last down. Man, I remember this stuff.
Wade Boggs on a stupid horse.
Yes, indeed, sir. And by the way, that is the absolute 100% sign of fandom. I hated him until he wore pinstripes and then rode that horse. And I'm like, I love Wade Boggs.
See, I never got Clemens. Clemens was the one that never.
Tim Raines, Rock Raines was on that 96 Yankees team. So was Cone. So was Jimmy Key. Was he 45?
Jimmy.
To use the Sports Center.
Jimmy Key.
Jimmy Key. Oh yeah. But no Mattingly. What a crusher.
That's sad.
Oh my God.
He should have.
All right, I'm very excited to talk to Tom Selleck when we come back here on the Rich Eisen Show. In just about 30 seconds, we'll be back on NBC SN. We're there every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern. We thank everybody for hanging on our YouTube feed. We'll be on YouTube every single day from noon to 3 Eastern, and that's how we're rolling. Tom Selleck of Blue Bloods on CBS when we come back in a moment. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, live here on NBC SN, again, every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern for this Monday. The rest of the week, we've got Joel McHale on tomorrow's show. We've got the actor Jeffrey Wright from Westworld going to be joining us on Friday because we like to mix pop culture, television, movies, music with the sports world. Sports is as pop culture as anything else, so if you're just somehow watching us for the first time, we've been on 5+ years, and I'll be very honest with you, I've been hoping to get this next guest on this program for those 5 years, and I am thrilled to be turning to the phone line right now and find the Emmy Award and Golden Globe Award-winning actor from Blue Bloods, currently airing in season 10, Fridays on CBS at 10 Eastern Time. The actor Tom Selleck. How are you, Tom?
I'm good, Rich.
Thanks for coming.
How are you doing?
I am better for talking to you. I appreciate you calling into the show. We just had the 15-year NFL veteran Carson Palmer on. He said he wore a Tigers cap as a kid because you did on Magnum PI, and he couldn't name a single Detroit Tiger from the team. So you were.
Well, you know, I'm an SC alum and obviously an SC fan. I didn't know that.
There you go.
But what a great career he had, Carson Palmer.
No doubt about that. So I know you want to share some stories about the great Al Kaline, who passed away last week. So I will give you the floor, Tom, on who Al Kaline was to you.
Well, look, he was my boyhood hero. When I was, my dad put my brother and my mom and I in a car and drove out to California, took a risk, and we started a life out there. But his promise to my mom was, she had 8 brothers and sisters, was, I'll get you back there every summer. So every summer we'd pile into mostly a 53 Pontiac and drive straight through because my dad was working on commission. So we only had like a week in Detroit, and he had to get back, and he was in real estate. So anyway, I was a huge Tiger fan. We had no Dodgers in L.A. till I think, what was it, 57. So I sound like an old-timer, don't I? Well, I am. And, so we had the L.A. Angels and the Hollywood Stars were our minor league baseball teams, but I was a Tiger fan. And somehow I got in the Tiger locker room and met Al Kaline, along with Harvey Keene and a lot of players.
Oh, sure.
That was obviously a big deal as a very young kid. He just and occasionally the Tigers would get on the game of the week, and in those days that's all the baseball, Major League Baseball, we got to see in L.A. You know, once a week there was the game of the week, and that was it. So occasionally I got to see him play. I just admired the way he played, and the more I found out about him, the more I admired who he was. He wasn't any kind of a showboat. He was a great athlete, and but he let his playing and his character speak for itself. And I always, that was kind of the mindset I hopefully inherited from him. There's a story, Rich, and I thought it was one of those mythological stories, maybe like Babe Ruth pointing and calling his shot. Mm-hmm. Who knows whether that's true? Well, I had always heard this story. So I went to spring training with the Tigers to prepare for a movie, Mr. Baseball.
Sure.
And Sparky, who I knew by then because I'd worked out with the Tigers a couple times, said, come to spring training. It'll help you prepare. So I went for 2 weeks. First night I go to dinner with Sparky and Jim Campbell, who was the general manager of the Tigers for years.
Sure.
And I said, I've heard this story, and you got to tell me, is this just a myth or something? Evidently, $100,000 was the big mark for our best baseball players in those days, and that's what Mickey Mantle and who else was getting it?
Sure, I'm sure.
Anyway.
I'm sure Mantle and all the top players back in the day were getting it, Tom.
Well, Mickey Mantle was getting it.
That was it. Okay.
And so basically, I said, this was the days where players came in and negotiated their own deals. They didn't have agents or anything. So Al comes in the end of the season, the beginning of the next, and they say, Al, you're as valuable to us as Mickey Mantle. And we're proudly going to give you $100,000 next year. And Kaline said, I had heard, I don't want it. I didn't have a good enough year. I didn't hit 300.
Huh.
He said, next year I'll hit 300, and you can give it to me, but not this year. And I asked Jim Campbell if that was true, because he was in the room. And he went, yeah, it's true. He said, and Al wouldn't let me tell anybody, so all year I got beat up in the press for not giving him what he was worth.
Yeah.
What I think is important to remember about Al Kaline, and what I hope his legacy would be, is he just that was very typical of who he was, and who he was is how he played. And that's not always the case anymore.
No, definitely not.
I don't think you can imagine Al Kaline flipping a bat. I don't like people who flip bats. Maybe I grew up in a different sports world, but I've always believed in all sports that if you demean your opponent, you trivialize your accomplishment. And it would be nice to see that legacy continue. And he's certainly my hero still. And the more that story gets out, the ironic thing is I tell that to people who remember that generation and all, and they're kind of in awe. If I tell that story to kids, I do a lot of work with young kids. The general response is, what a chump.
No kidding.
I don't think that's a good thing.
No, I would agree with you, Tom. It's not a good thing. It just shows a sense of responsibility and in a way just to. Do we know? Did he hit 300 the next year? Did he do that? Did he get the money?
I don't know. I do know a little-known fact. He's credited with 399 home runs.
Right.
Got 10 Golden Gloves. He actually hit 400 home runs, but one was taken away because of a rainout.
Oh, jeez.
There's a little-known fact.
There you go.
I don't know whether he hit 300. Up until his very last season, he had a lifetime 300 batting average, and his wife had to convince him to play one more year to get 3,000 hits. He was a proud man, but took pleasure in his abilities. He was a phenomenal baseball player. When you see the evaluations of guys like Brooks Robinson and all the people who played in his day and subsequently, you see the respect he earned as a player. The other player who got $100,000 was Willie Mays.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
So
that makes sense. That makes sense big time.
Those were the two guys, and I assume he got $100,000, and I assume he hit 300. He did for most of his career, so he was the youngest guy to ever win a batting title. But those are stats. More important is who he was.
No doubt.
I do know he wasn't just, he wasn't a do-gooder or just a stuffed shirt, because, tell me if I'm talking too much.
No. By the way, Tom Selleck here on the Rich Eisen Show. I love all this because I know he kind of played a prank on you when you went to spring training.
Yeah.
Is it?
I go to spring training, and the next day, really big deal. He obviously knew I was a big fan. I certainly talked about it in enough interviews. And he, on his own, comes up to me. He's in uniform. And he says, "You want to play catch?" After we stretched and we warmed up, and so I got to play long toss with my boyhood idol, which is a rare thing. But I figured the Tigers kind of accepted me. Sparky made sure I had a locker with everybody, and I just they tried not to treat me any differently. What they treated me like was a rookie. So I figured I was accepted because there were constant pranks on the new rookie, like putting heat rub in my jock strap.
Well then,
Kramer's atomic bomb, they called it. And I didn't. They're all watching me, and we're out stretching, and I'm just feeling a little uncomfortable. And the laugh started. So I got to the point I'm smelling everything I put on. I was very suspicious.
I imagine
my sanitary socks and anything. And but Al comes over one day, and he pulls up a stool. And I go, and I'm trying not to act impressed or anything, and just be normal. And I don't want to gush or anything. And he's talking about me and how I'm doing, hitting and stuff. And I see everybody staring at me in the whole locker room, and I go, boy, they're impressed. Al's accepting me. Well, and every time I'd look away, he'd get my attention. He says, "Tom, listen to me." And so he had my eyes. And what they'd done is they put a product called Skin Lube in my shoes. They filled them up. It's a little greasy substance you put on a blister.
What did they do to you? My God, Tom Selleck.
So they filled it up, and I never got to look at my shoes because I was in a hurry, but I wanted to listen to Al, and I just stuck my feet into a big pile of goo. And
oh, my God.
Laughed.
But if I'm not mistaken, Sparky did have your back when he tried to give you an at-bat in spring training, right?
Yeah. Well, Sparky, yeah.
What happened in that one?
He says, well, he called me in, and he said, "Tom, we were playing the world champion Reds that night." He says, "Look, you're not going to really know what this is like. You know what it's like hanging out with the players, but I'm going to get you an at bat." He said, "They're probably going to find me, but what the hell can they do to me?" So he says, "I'm going to put you in the 7th inning, and you're going to pinch hit." And so I'm sweating bullets. I'm I'm excited, but scared. And I was sitting on the bench. I usually sat with a great player, great guy, Dave Bergman, and a bunch of the guys, and I knew them all by then. And 7th inning comes around, and Sparky doesn't even look at me. He just kind of strolls down the dugout in my direction, and as he passes me, he doesn't look at me, but says, because the guy warming up was Rob Dibble. Now, Rob Dibble.
Oh, yeah, nasty boy, Rob Dibble.
Threw really hard.
Yes.
And grunted when he warmed up. So I'm really sweating bullets, and Sparky walks by, doesn't even look to me, but he says in a low voice, "I'm going to wait an inning." It turned out, look, he didn't want to show anybody up, which is something I know Al Kaline believed in. You don't show people up in baseball. And he had talked to Lou Piniella, and Lou said, "Look, I don't mind if you put him in. That'll be fun for everybody. Be a little change of pace, but don't do it with my closer." So he waited an inning, and I went in and got my at bat.
And what'd you do?
Well, I hung in there.
Okay.
I think Al might have been in the booth doing the announcing, but I hung in there. I'm my brush with greatness is I fouled off about 4 pitches.
There you go.
I was late. I hit left-handed. I throw right, and me and Ted Williams, the ball was going up in the air down the third baseline in the stands, and so the guys in the Tiger bullpen told me later, because they were kind of rooting for me. I was one of the team now. They thought it was pretty cold because eventually the guy throws me. He'd been throwing straight and everything else.
He went off speed on Tom Selleck? Did he go off speed on you, Tom? Did he really go off speed on you?
He went way off speed. He threw me a knuckle curve.
Oh!
which I like hitting low pitches like a lot of left-handers.
Sure.
So the ball starts out kind of mid-lower thigh, and by the time I swing, it's in the dirt in front of the plate. And the guys in the Tiger bullpen thought that was cool.
That's good. Well, before I let you go,
he didn't want some goofy actor.
I guess not.
Hit when he's trying to make the club. So
before I let you go, Tom, I'm glad that you're on the show to talk about this. I know you got season 10 of Blue Bloods on Friday at 10 Eastern time, and what the New York City Police Department is going through right now is nothing short of heroic. And I'm sure you must have some thoughts on that subject, Tom. Before I let you go here.
Well, obviously, I got a lot of friends in New York. I got a lot of friends in the NYPD. They're doing their job. And all we can do is be good citizens and do our job. But all those people on the line are just from EMS, fire and EMS guys, the police, to our military people, especially the caregivers. It's different. I got a lot of friends, and I flew out before they shut it down. They shut down our show, and I flew out because my home's in California, and I felt I needed to be with my wife. So I had a couple of weeks of quarantine, and I'm doing fine.
That's great to hear.
But you think of everybody. The only thing I wish I could do as a citizen, if I was still there, is open my window and at 7 at night, bang some pans and shout support, which I think is a wonderful thing. I think it says a lot. The people, the police get you get a couple bad apples, and police get blamed for all sorts of things. I kind of know what the job entails after playing the police commissioner for 10 years, and it's what they do and what they sacrifice, and the toll on police officers and emergency workers. There's a toll on what you see that it can't help affecting you, and it's multiplied about tenfold right now, and it just grinds you down. So thank you.
Now,
thank everybody for their service, and just understand the toll that's taken. And then they got to go home to their families and hope they don't get them sick.
Exactly, and that's as well said as possible, Tom. And I appreciate you calling in and sharing those memories that you did, and saying what you just said so very well, straight from Commissioner, New York City Police Commissioner of Blue Bloods himself, Frank Reagan, right there. Before I let you go, because we're here to help people sort of take their minds off of things. We fashioned our poll question today in honor of you, Tom Selleck. My colleague Chris Brockman, read off the poll question right now. We know who he's going to vote for, but maybe he'll vote for second place here, Chris.
Yeah, Tom, in honor of you, who's got the best TV mustache of all time? Yourself?
You know, I knew you were going to do a mustache question.
Okay.
I don't get through an interview without a mustache question.
Okay.
Well, I don't need the mustache. I was born without it. But who's got the best one besides me?
Yeah, Alex Trebek, Isaac from the Love Boat, or Ned Flanders.
Does Gossage still have one?
Oh, gosh. You know what?
That was a good one.
That was a great one. But we went television. We didn't go sports, because we could have gone Dick Tidrow. We could have gone all that way.
Who's got one?
So give him the other choices.
So we went Alex Trebek from back in the day, Isaac from the Love Boat, and Ned Flanders from The Simpsons.
What do you got? Who'd you vote for second place there, Tom?
I'd go for obvious reasons, and I hope it's a shot in his arm, Alex Trebek.
Okay. What is a mensch? Tom Selleck, right there. That's well done, Tom. Thanks for calling in. You take care of yourself, and hopefully this will be the first of many times you call in. I'm a big fan. Thanks for doing it, Tom.
I enjoyed it, and thanks for talking about Al.
You got it. That's Tom Selleck right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I mean, I remember, just real quick, first time I'm doing SportsCenter, I was so nervous. I did a half-an-hour show. It was March Madness. It was Sweet 16. I did it with Larry Beal. I had 11 tapes. I only saw one of them going down. I had to do 10 highlights blind. I remember thinking to myself, I have two choices. I can pee down my leg, or I can do this show. I might have done both. I got through it. Then I'm doing my first Sports Center. And I get through it, and I'm nervous, but I get through it. Next time, I'm looking at all the tapes. It's the 2 a.m. The tapes come up, because it was back in the day. Tapes come up from downstairs. That's the way it was. Tapes would be used from the 11 o'clock Sports Center for the 2 a.m. Sports Center. And I'm looking at all of them, and I feel like this presence to my left, this large presence, this shadow to my left. And I look up, and it's Dan Patrick looking me in the face going, so, you nervous?
I love it.
And I just absolutely lost it. And a couple times he did that a little bit more. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm one of the team. At least that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done that if he didn't think A, I could handle it, or B, Tom was one of the team.
Exactly.
They didn't, icy hot my ears or my microphone like they did to him.
They didn't hot foot your loafers.
Man, one of the team. So I appreciate Tom Selleck for coming on the show and talking about the great Al Kaline, who passed away last week. May he rest in peace. Yes, indeed.
I got a good story like that, Rich, too.
Yes.
Well, I'll do it in breaks since we're not on NBC. First NFC Championship I mix, same thing. You're sitting there. I'm in the truck. I'm in Giant Stadium.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there, and David Hill, great exec at Fox, comes in and walks in the room and goes, by the way, it's not like everyone in your family is going to be watching. Everyone you know.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, there's no pressure on you, Del Tufo. If you mess up, no one's going to see it.
And I'm sure, look, oh, God, the number of times Steve Bornstein, who's my rabbi, who's smart enough to have hired me twice, as I like to say, from ESPN.
Richie, baby.
The number of times he would just, and I'll clean it up, he would walk up right to my desk before going on an assignment, or sometimes just as we're about to go live. Hey, Rich, don't F it up. Right?
Exactly. That's what they do.
That's basically what he would do. Hey, Richie, baby. Richie boy.
Hey, we're all counting.
Look, I mean, it's fine. This is why I hired you. But just do me a favor. Don't F it up.
He did.
That's basically what he would say all the time. I'm like, thanks, Steve.
He did that in Jersey when we did the game in Giant Stadium.
Thanks, Steve.
Rich. He did that in Jersey when we did the game and we were on the...
Oh, my gosh.
Crazy.
Don Bowie, our coordinating producer, saying that he's done that to you many times.
Oh, yeah. All producers and directors have done it to me. I love it.
Do you?
I got the magic hands, baby.
Do you really?
I work the magic hands.
I don't know what that means, man.
Magic hands? Means you don't mess up when
Was
you're
Tom Selleck ever on the Love Boat? Did we ever look that up?
Ooh, 80. It ran to 83, right?
Hold on.
Am I wrong?
Hold on.
Let's see if I'm
I got
good.
this. I got this.
I'm going to say it went at least to 82, 83.
Oh, what, the Love Boat went way deeper than
past
that.
it? No.
87, I think.
87? Oh, I would
Gotta
have
look all the way down. His first credit, Lancer.
Lancer.
Yep. He was on Lancer, and then in the 70s, he was on Terminal Island, which sounds the exact opposite of Fantasy Island. Marcus Welby, ND, Manic, Streets of San Francisco.
Oof.
Charlie's Angels.
Wow.
He did Taxi for an episode.
Coma.
Nope. Rockford Files, The Fall Guy.
Oh, great.
Simon and Simon.
Those are
Murder, She Wrote is as close as he ever got.
Murder.
Those are the hits.
She Wrote. Tonight, Tom Selleck guest stars. You cut my mic. This friendly promotional announcement tonight and all week in primetime right here on NBCSN starting at 7 Eastern Time. Return to Rio, starting out with the best of Team USA. Again, tonight and all week in primetime right here on NBCSN. 7 Eastern Time, Return to Rio. Check it out right here, as you can check us out every single day right after Mike Tirico is done with his hour, our 2 hours. And I want to thank Peter King, Carson Palmer, and that was fun with Tom Selleck right there. How about that? Sparky Anderson's like, I'm going to put you in. He checks with Lou Piniella, who, by the way, is the biggest red ass of all red asses. We love our times with Lou.
Yes.
When he calls in, right? And then Dibble's warming up. Put him in, just not against my closer. They had 3 closers. You remember that?
Oh, in 91? Oh,
well,
yeah.
They had the nasty boys were Charlton, Dibble, and Myers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't do it against my closers. He had 3 of them.
So, Tom Selleck's at-bat is on YouTube.
Okay.
From spring training 91, it has 2 pitches, the last 2. He fouls one off.
Do we know who he's pitched again?
Down the third base side.
Yeah.
Number 43 is pitching, if you want to look
From
that
the
up.
Cincinnati Reds? Okay.
And then the next pitch, it is I know Tom just said it was a knuckle curve. It is nasty. He goes down swinging.
That's not right. How do you not give a cookie to Tom Selleck? Let him hit it.
Like, it's right out over the plate, looks fat, and then dives hard down at Tom's feet.
I know.
Swings over top of it.
My coordinating executive producer, Don Bowie's in my ear saying, you want to be the guy who gives up a hit to an actor? I want an autograph. Yeah. I want something from Tom Selleck. I don't know. Didn't Chan Hope Park give a cookie to Cal
was in an
Ripken
All-Star
Jr.
game,
in an All-Star
though.
game? So this is the same thing. I know it's a Hall of Fame. Tom Selleck's a Hall of Famer. He's in the Mustache Hall of Fame. He's in the Ferrari Hall of Fame. He's in the Baseball Cap Hall of Fame. By the way, I don't know if those places exist. Al in Pennsylvania. Let's take his phone call here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Al?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for taking my call. Glad to see you back on the air again because I've been a big fan of your show and everything.
Appreciate it. We're here every day.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. While you were speaking with Tom Selleck about Al Kaline and everything, I've just got to say, that I've been watching baseball since back in the 1960s. I played Little League ball and, baseball up through whenever I couldn't play baseball anymore. And I've seen a lot of the great players. I'm a New Yorker, so Mickey Mantle was my favorite baseball idol of all time. But I got to say, Al Kaline, to me, was the American League right fielder equivalent to Roberto Clemente in the National League. I think Roberto was the greatest right fielder of all time, but if anybody compared to Roberto, I think it's got to be Al Kaline, because I did get to see Al Kaline play whenever they were playing the Yankees, because the Yankees were my team. And I don't think I've seen a better right fielder since then, not in the American League, since Al Kaline.
Al, thanks for the call and for your memories of Al Kaline right there. Hey, I remember going to Tiger Stadium for the first time freshman year of college, going to the University of Michigan. My friends were like, you got to go to the old ballpark. Went to Tiger Stadium, and there was
the Donnie baseball.
That is that story.
That's that story.
Am I going to tell that to an NBC audience?
Yeah, why not?
All right, real quick. Obstructed view seats.
They had those gigantic girders.
And the difference being an East Coaster and a Midwesterner was stark when I stood up and started clapping over the last line of the national anthem, and everybody from the Midwest was standing at attention. And us East Coasters were like, yeah, like we're about to start playing.
Home of the Brave. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I stood up and started clapping, and people were staring at me like, what's your malfunction? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that's no disrespect. We in the East Coast, we're like, we're ready for the first pitch. An Orioles fan scream, oh, for, I don't want to say the lyrics here because I'll go full Enrico Palazzo. All right. Real quick.
Just do it.
Diehard Yankee fan right here. Don Mattingly is my player. He's my guy. I love this guy. My number one player of all time. Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball. 1986, Tiger Stadium. Yankees are coming in. George Steinbrenner has given Mattingly all sorts of grief, and this has been a long slog since 1981 when the Yankees last made the World Series, and Mr. May happened with Dave Winfield. Reggie leaves the team. Don Mattingly comes up, and he's just the guy. We're just going to lead us back to the promised land. I'm a spoiled Yankee fan. 5 years is a long time growing up. I didn't go 5 years with them not being in the playoffs or anything like that. It's all right. So Steinbrenner's screaming at Mattingly to cut his hair and all that sort of stuff, and Mattingly's going to be a free agent, and I'm thinking he's about to leave, and this season's going to be a lost season already. It's April, and I got to do something about it. Because that's what I do, right, Chris?
You leave people in a better place.
I don't just criticize and point out things. I offer solutions.
Exactly.
I'm a solution guy. So, I make up in my head, I'm going to go down to Tiger Stadium, and I'm going to see Don Mattingly, and I'm going to save this situation on behalf of all Yankee fans everywhere. I'm going to take it into my own hands.
That's big of you.
So, I ask a guy in my dorm, can I borrow your car? Yes. Go down to Tiger Stadium. Yankees are playing the Tigers that day. First pitch, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I get there 9-something in the morning. Gates are locked. I'm the first human being inside Tiger Stadium's confines that day, and I get right belly up to the Yankee visiting dugout. I'm going to do this thing. And I got it all mapped out. Don, don't listen to George. We're longtime Yankee fans. You're from Indiana. He just talks that way. Don't be thrown off by this. So what he's saying about your hair, understand, we know you. I understand you, Don. I'm speaking for all Yankee fans. Do not listen to this lunatic running the team. You be you. You keep raking, and you stay put. For me and everybody, I mean, I had this whole thing mapped out in my head. Sure enough, I'm right there. Dugout right in front of me. Door opens up. Who's the first one out? Because he's a lead pipe wielding professional. Don Mattingly. I look him in the eye. He looks me in the eye, and I go, "Dirty baseball! Woo!"
I mean,
he goes like this. Pirouettes, goes right back in.
One of my favorite stories.
Well, years later.
Dirty baseball! Woohoo!
Years later, 2000 All-Star game in Seattle. All right. I am the correspondent for the celebrity softball game on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Who's one of the captains? Don Mattingly. He comes up to me. He says he's seen me on SportsCenter. He's a fan of mine.
Uh-oh.
We chit-chat. It's amazing. Susie took a photograph of me doing that because she was covering the game on behalf of the Southern California Sports Report because there are a bunch of angels in there and whatever. She took a picture. I've got a picture of me talking to Don. And he says, "Nice to meet you." And I'm like, well, we have met before.
Hold on.
Told him the story. He says, nothing. He's a polite guy from Indiana. I'm like, do you remember? And he goes, no. Donnie Baseball.
Rich.
And now?
Can't believe I just told that story again.
And now your daughter's middle name?
Is Mattingly. Told him that when he was a manager of the Dodgers when I threw out the first pitch. One day. Told him that. Oh, my gosh. You know, he looked at me? He looked at me two ways. One, I've heard this sort of stuff before. You're not the first person to do it. Two, may I get a restraining order now? Yes. All right. Is there one piece of news item you want to hit before in our last 3 minutes here?
I do want to hit this real quick. We don't need to drop. It's okay. We'll save it for tomorrow. Bill Belichick had a conference call with New England reporters this afternoon.
What do we have?
Okay. Did the Patriots want to bring Tom Brady back? Belichick. That's water under the bridge.
He's already starting here to talk about the past.
We're really focused on this season.
Moving on to Cincinnati on the clock is basically what he's saying.
Are you
You're on to
surprised?
Cincinnati.
Are you surprised he left, Bill? Again, I think we've covered all that.
Have we?
We're really focused on this season and trying to look at our opportunities and make decisions and plan and prepare to be as competitive as we can this year.
My favorite part of the NFL 100 all-time team series. Brought up Hoyer when asked about Stidham, huh? My favorite part about this whole, the NFL 100 all-time team series is the affable Bill Belichick, the Emmy Award-nominated analyst Bill Belichick.
He's going to win.
Just disappeared when I said I'm going to ask you a question that no one would ever ask you in a normal question and answer session. He goes, should I do the voice? Basically is what he said.
He knows.
I went because we were talking about Vince Lombardi's name came up. I'm like, when you're mentioned as the modern day Lombardi, I mean, what do you think of when you think of? And he just went into that voice in Collinsworth's like, I told you, like you just got it.
Yeah. He was asked about quarterbacks in this year's draft. Said it's an interesting group, probably one that has some decent depth to it. Added that he's talked to as many players as they've ever talked in the past getting ready for this year's draft.
Okay.
One more note. The Texans and Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins.
Did it go
trade is complete.
There you
Hopkins passed his physical.
Okay. Mazel tov. Now it's Bill O'Brien on to Brandon Cooks, by the way, who has now played on a team quarterbacked by Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Jared Goff, and Deshaun Watson. I mean, you want to talk about high rent district.
There you go.
And he's been acquired 3 times for a first, then another first, now a second. So I guess there's diminishing returns. Unbelievable. And the guy, I think, is still 18 years old.
Unbelievable.
By the way. Craziness, man.
26. Brandon.
Years old?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. I mean, he's crazy.
Same thing.
So there's that. And I guess he'll be traded, but I guess, Mahomes will take him next year, honestly. Thank you for taking in this show today. We'll see you tomorrow on NBCSN at 1 Eastern Time. Our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Every single day at noon Eastern. We'll be on Sirius at that time as well. You can check out our podcast on Podcast One. For everybody here in Los Angeles at our studio, The Rich Eisen Show signing off. See you Tuesday.